Simpsons Index, an online spreadsheet that is also a podcast. This is the podcast. Coming to you out of SideQuest Studios, this is the Simpsons Index, episode 133. Hello out there, I'm your host, Elliot Jay O'Neill, and joining me today is Jordan Frost.
Hello there.
Here as always, except when he's not, BT Calloway.
Hoi hoi.
And brand new guest, Eddy Price.
How's it going?
Good, man, and thank you for joining us for the Simpsons Index. This is a podcast where we watch and review 3 episodes of The Simpsons at a time, but there's a twist. Each episode must come from a different decade. Now, Eddy, you're new to the show. We like to ask our new guests, where did The Simpsons begin with you? What is your Simpsons history?
I think my parents were going through a separation at the time, so I never went through the phase where your parents said, no Simpsons. So I just got Simpsons.
Is that where you did the trick where you're like, well, Dad lets me watch The Simpsons?
Yeah, I was going to say, were they both trying to be the cool one that would let you watch?
No, only one was cool.
Okay.
And the other had a race car bed? But no, mine's a similar story. And, where did the series sort of drop off for you? How long did you persist?
I think I really got into Futurama. I absolutely loved Futurama.
Yeah.
And I think around the time that came out, I transitioned away from Simpsons and also was getting into, YouTube and other stuff. And then I just never really got back into it.
Yeah, because, once you go Futurama.
Yeah.
You never go back around?
Until it gets cancelled.
What's the rhyme? I don't know.
Once you go Fry, you never want to try other things.
This message brought to you by Fry July. That's right. All of July is Fry July. What's Futurama?
All right, cool. And thank you for joining us today, and thank you for letting me subject you to some new Simpsons as well. So we just watched an episode from the HD era. This was season 29, episode 18, Forgive and Regret.
I only have regrets.
Well, I hope you have forgiveness too.
I do not forgive.
First released in April of 2018, it was directed by Rob Oliver, written by Bill Odenkirk. In this episode, Grandpa has a heart attack and tells Homer a terrible secret and asks for forgiveness, and turns out Grandpa's not dying, and then Homer's resentful because turns out the terrible secret was that Grandpa threw a recipe lunchbox out. Guys, what do we think?
Oh man, this one's kind of a bit of a roller coaster because I keep having some kind of good notes and then bad notes and good notes and then bad. It's all over the place. But I think the main problem for this one is really going to be it takes so long to get anywhere that it's a problem.
Indeed.
And then it doesn't matter when you get there.
Bill Odenkirk related to Bob Odenkirk?
Yes, they are brothers.
Oh, right. Okay, cool.
Well, we know where all the talent in that family
So
went.
he's the Jim Belushi.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not fair. Bill Odenkirk is a talent. It's just, he phoned it in.
All right.
I think it's symptomatic of the new stuff, as far as I've heard, because this is one of the first new HD ones I've watched, but it's so meta.
Yeah.
Just constantly.
It's a little too aware of itself.
Yeah.
Need to dumb it down a shade.
It's still not as meta as Homer sending a gif of himself.
Yeah.
But it's gotten to the stage where they're like, we've got to market to new audience, and that's kids, and they like weird, surreal shit, so it doesn't work most of the time.
Even in place of an entire opening sequence, we just have Maggie in the middle of a cowboy showdown that's tied to nothing. You're
really
this
bizarre.
is tied to something.
No, it's not.
No. Not within the context of the episode, but so this is the episode where Simpsons passed Gunsmoke for having the most episodes of an episodic television show. And so Maggie killing the sheriff from Gunsmoke was...
Well, let's put it to you this way. Did you know that before you looked up the show notes?
Nope.
So, of the 4 Simpsons fans in this room, none of us knew that.
Yeah.
To be fair, none of us were Gunsmoke fans. I'm assuming, Eddy?
No, I was trying to work out who it was.
Yeah,
because it seemed like a parody of something, but we all had absolutely no idea what the fuck was going on, so therefore it's a bad bit.
Yeah.
No, for real.
And I'm pretty sure none of us were even 10 years from being alive when Gunsmoke finished airing.
Yeah.
Probably not.
So, yeah. Do you think if Maggie had lost that duel, they would have had to just quit?
Yeah. Because the baby's dead now. That's going to be sad.
Oh, dear
so, once you murder a baby, I think that's it for you, right? You've jumped the shark. You got to quit right then and there.
Well, that should actually be a new segment on this show, Maggie's kill count.
Yeah. And then they could have a tie and everyone can be happy. You know?
Yeah, all the Gunsmoke fans and all the Simpsons fans, because there is no crossover there.
Yeah.
All right, let's hook into the questionnaire. BT, for better or worse, what's a moment from this episode that stands out to you?
Okay, so Grandpa's on his deathbed, and he's like, Homer, I have to confess something to you. I'm like, first of all, we've already done this with Herb Powell. And second of all, it's like he whispers it to Homer, so we spend the next 5 minutes not knowing what the conflict is, and we kind of assume, okay, maybe we'll never find out. It's meant to be, a driving force element, but then we find out what it is, and then that's the plot. So we take about 70% of this episode to find out what the main conflict is. Like, no, do that way earlier, because there's no reason to delay it. If you're going to delay it all the way till the end, or put it right in the middle, because that's how plot structure works.
Or if you're going to delay it, make it something fucking satisfying.
Yeah.
I.e. a Herb Powell style revelation, not just I threw your fucking recipe book. Like, I get the sentimental value and everything, but this is hardly like anything.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm.
Was there any point during the episode where you thought that the secret wasn't going to get revealed?
Yeah, no, I thought after a while, I was like, okay, maybe if they haven't told us when he told Homer, they're just going to, keep it off and we're never going to find out, because what could it possibly be would be the driving force.
There was just a point where I felt like they showed their hands. Like it was definitely going to get revealed at some point. So just get to the point. Don't fuck around for another 5-10 minutes. Just do it. Just get it over with.
For 5-10 minutes.
Yeah.
And how about you, Jordan? What's a moment that stands out to you, for better or worse?
I originally picked something different, but then there was this moment 90% through the episode where it was just really jarring. It was the bit where Abe is what we'll loosely call abseiling off the cliff.
Yep.
He says, "Don't try and stop me. I'm going to do it," or whatever. But he doesn't know that Homer's behind him in that stage. But then, Homer's there and ties himself, and they fall off the cliff, and then the family's up the top of the cliff. And I was like, this is cut like a dream sequence, because it just shifted so quickly, and then there was no passage of time or anything, and it was just like, is this a dream? Is it going to be revealed to be a dream? Because this is so bizarre at the moment.
And then they were falling, they cut to the family and they had these weird
What was that?
dream bubbles above their head.
Does anyone remember what they were?
Yeah, Marge was worried about Homer, Lisa was worried about Grandpa, and Bart was worried about the branch they were snagged on. And I kind of like it as a joke. It's a weird visual thing, because you can see their individual dream bubbles, and it's a little odd, but I kind of like it.
Would have been better if Lisa was the one worried about the branch.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But worried about trees and all.
Yeah.
I like the implication, Bart's my favorite branch.
Yeah. It just stuck out. It stuck out even. And
stuck out like a branch out of a
yeah. And it just took me out for a second. I just had to kind of recalibrate my brain.
Yeah.
Yeah. And much like Grandpa cutting the thing only to fall, on the nearby bed, it's just the pointless fake out sort of feels so emblematic of what's wrong with this episode.
Yeah. Especially because they fell down the cliff facing down.
Yep.
They definitely saw how far away the ground is.
Yeah.
And even if the bed wasn't there.
Even the bed, you would have survived. Even old man, brittle bone kind of guy would survive that fall.
Definitely.
Yep.
And how about you, Eddie? For better or worse, what's a moment from this episode that stands out to you?
I had a great gag. I think one that made me outright laugh at the start was when they were in Marge's car going somewhere, and Homer put up that screen.
Yeah.
And that in itself was, funny. And then he does it again to Marge in the front seat with another screen. I think that really got me.
Yeah. The absurdist misdirect as well.
It was a really good misdirect.
Yeah.
But then I guess one of the things that stood out to me the most was the song numbers.
Oh my God.
Because one song's, okay, fine, you did that. But then to do it again.
Yeah.
And they both take way too long as well. One's recipes in place of the word memories.
Yep.
And it's about pies. And okay, it's a bit long, but fine. This is meant to be a sentimental core. But then Homer sings a song about hate. And
that is Time in a Bottle by Jim Croce.
Okay.
I have his album. He died very young. He looks like he's 60-year-old grizzled kind of Sam Elliott, but he died in a plane crash very young, and so he only released 1 or 2 albums.
Oh,
and that was a very famous song. Actually, you might have heard it recently because there was an Apple ad with Cookie Monster baking cookies, and he's like, "Okay, Siri, set a timer for 30 minutes," and then it starts playing Time in a Bottle, and Cookie Monster is there anxiously chewing his hands because he can't wait 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I love the line in the song. Homer said, "There never seems to be a time to hate the things you hate." And I thought to myself, I'm finding that right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
No. There's time. That's right.
There's
now.
time.
And it brings me to a line from A Million Ways to Die in the West that I love. There's nothing stronger than mutual hate. Mutual hate can move mountains, In a way, hating something together is more important than loving something together. As this truly unites us. Because, the fucking songs, man. This is a problem that we've come into with, the Simpsons parody songs, in that when they do a ballad, it's exceptionally excruciating because it takes so long to get to the jokey rhymes.
Most of them are pretty good, but they need to be the Quickie Mart song. It's that BPM or higher.
Well, even then, if you're doing a ballad, think of like Homer's "When I Was 17, I drank some very good beer." That's maybe, 15 seconds?
Yeah,
And it's just
exactly.
it's
4
one
lines.
verse.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Quickie Mart or See My Vest or any of these songs where the
Well,
joke...
See My Vest is a masterpiece.
Yeah.
so-
I know, but part of the joke is that how quickly that fucking rolls. You don't have time to absorb the last joke before the next one comes along.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, oh, goodness, what stands out to me from this episode? Yeah, I'm just going to go with the opening thing with the pickled egg joke. That, I found that so
yeah.
unsettling.
That was some body horror from like early Peter Jackson day kind of thing.
Yeah.
That was so gross, seeing those eggs like stick out from his skin.
Yeah.
Unsettling.
Kind
You're
of
right.
liked it for the joke. Oh, after this, we're going out for omelets. I like...
Yeah, that was okay.
Yeah.
But then the whole, Mo grabbing the eggs as Homer was, firing them, and then
Yeah.
the whole fucking laboured, I'm using them to play pool with. No, they're going back in a pickled edge. Fuck that joke.
Yeah.
No, actually, what I really wanted to talk about was the whole escape room thing. And I was like, why are you leaving this? There was so much more meat left on that plot
I was
bone.
about to say, when you asked before, at what point did you think they were never going to reveal what it was? I thought it was the escape room because it was going to be like, okay, this is our plot.
Yeah.
They're going to be in the escape room for the most of the rest of the episode.
Yeah,
And then, nope,
that'd
they're
be
just
good.
like, escape rooms are stupid. Bye.
You know, I have to disagree with you because that was actually one of my upvote things. I'm like, you know what? This could have been a really labored escape room sequence that lasts like 5 minutes or something. And I'm kind of glad they just cut away because escape rooms have kind of been done in a lot of other shows too now. And I've seen all the jokes. I know this came out, 5 years ago? But
Last year.
oh, okay. Well, then I take that sentiment
Yeah,
back.
yeah.
I don't give a shit. And I was kind of happy that they didn't just be like, oh, let's do all the normal escape room things. And, they're going to have conflict, but they're going to have to figure out that, you need to work together.
I'm not saying it would have been a good plot. I'm just
Okay.
saying that's the
Right.
point in pacing where you put the
Okay.
main crux of your
Yeah,
plot.
okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
But why'd they even introduce it? The
That's
amount
my
of time
point.
it was there.
Yeah, for a joke. Well,
Yeah.
2 jokes. One to say that escape rooms are trying to save dying moles, and another to electrocute Homer.
I did an escape room yesterday.
Oh,
Which
really?
was quite topical for a team event.
Oh, good.
And we were blindfolded and handcuffed, so I was kind of...
Holy shit.
Yeah.
There's a
And they're like, welcome to Guantanamo.
oh, God.
Oh, Jesus.
And it wasn't actually an escape room, it was my bedroom.
That sounds like
But
a
did you have
fun
a good
room.
time?
Yeah.
Did you guys escape, though?
With a minute less than we were meant to.
Yeah.
So we went overtime.
Oh, so you died?
Yeah, the guards came for us.
Yeah, okay.
Was that your first one, or?
No, I've unfortunately done one before.
Yeah.
Can we do an escape room index?
Yeah.
We have to
This
review.
is the escape room.
Yeah, once that door is shut, you have 15 seconds before it starts
I like
filling
the
with
idea
water.
we have to review the episode while we solve the puzzle.
Live escaping.
Yeah.
Oh, we can Twitch stream it.
Why do you think all the cameras are here?
I was wondering about that. But why are there so many in the bathroom?
Oh.
That's just private.
That's the other escape room. You got to find a way to. Anyway.
Don't tell me. I want to figure it out myself.
So anyway, I actually would have been okay if the rest of the episode was like a bottle episode.
Yeah, actually, that would have been fine.
Because, I mean, I know what you're saying, Jordan, in that escape rooms are trendy, therefore a lot of TV shows have done them, and they'd probably be retreading a lot of the same ground, but, the Grandpa Homer dynamic is a very interesting one, and it's worth exploring, and I think in the confines of an escape room and doing a bottle episode, they could have done that, and it would have been a way for them to hold on to the secret until the end as well.
Yes.
Play count. How many times before today have you seen this episode?
Merciful God, never.
None.
0.
Yeah, this was my first time as well.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I mean, I could have beat you if only I'd watched more crappy Simpsons.
There's so many of those where it's like,
I
damn
know.
it. I just need to subject
I just need to
myself
watch season 31, yeah.
So, wackiness, what were some of the cartoony parts of this episode?
Homer can do the lotus position quite easily.
Yeah.
That was such a weird aside to this whole fucking The Hate song.
Yeah. He's like doing a yoga pose
Yep. While singing about hate.
and
Yeah.
kind of a meditative sound.
Meditate.
A couple of mildly wacky bits I actually quite like. Grandpa, sees the sign for this cliff coming up ahead and he's looking at binoculars, but he's about 3 feet away from the sign.
Oh, yeah.
That got a chuckle from me. I also like Hibbert's, well, we tried everything we could. And the last thing worked.
Just going back to that pool sequence, how much money did Mo pay to install that mechanism? And how good is he at pool that he can do one break and it sends all the eggs?
Funny answer. One paid for the other. He hustled pool to
Right.
pay for the
That
rigged pool
makes
table.
sense.
And especially, because they're oval shaped as well. Like, that's got to really throw off your angles.
Yeah.
I mean, even just balancing them in the first place in the triangle. Very impressive. He's wasted in that bar.
Yep.
I can't believe a pickled egg's that hard as well. Like, wouldn't have the pool cue just
Gone through it.
gone through the first one, or even if it didn't, just fucking.
Oh man, the yolk would be all over that felt. I don't think Mo can afford felt. It's probably synthetic grass.
Rat skin.
And then that would have fucked it for sure. You can't get egg yolk out.
I can see on your shirt.
Yeah, exactly. I've had this shirt one day and it's already ruined.
You didn't even eat eggs.
Yeah, I know. It's just
What the hell?
I think I'm probably flogging a dead horse here. It might be that I haven't watched a lot of the new stuff, but it feels so much more surreal than it used to when they were sort of grounded in realism. But I think one thing that stood out because it was just so pointless was when they were outside the retirement home and Bart told Lisa to leave her body.
Yeah.
And she did.
Yes.
Just like, okay, I'll do that thing. What?
And it was all just so they could show that Lisa could leave her body and then Bart could slap her while she was out of her body.
Yeah.
And I didn't really get the gag.
Yeah.
I was thinking as well, I wrote this down as best gag, although I've written that down twice, which is giving this episode too much credit.
It's full of great gags.
It's Vesta. Yeah.
But the NCIS thing,
Yeah.
with
Yeah,
the gun
okay.
firing guns, and oh my
I
god,
think just guns just raining down. And
I lost it.
I did like that. And even in an episode where there are a lot of those long drawn out gags that that was one that I appreciated. The people turning their head and cocking their gun.
Yeah. I think because it kept escalating. Because at first it was just like Mark Harmon, and then I don't know why they didn't choose to parody the other people in NCIS, unless the NCIS cast has drastically changed since I last watched it.
Probably has.
Fuck,
But,
Jordan. Man, Jordan, you know who sang that Hate in a Bottle parody, and you know your NCIS as well.
You know what? I used to watch NCIS because
it was on.
it was 7:30 on a Thursday or something, and we'd be eating dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on.
Yeah.
It's kind of the Paulie Perrette is kind of quirky, and that's cool.
Yep.
Anyway,
But I love that so much because it started off with that meta theme again, with Grandpa saying, my favorite show, NCIS, currently in its 17th season, which was But then they moved into Grandpa saying how good it was that they're doing prompt investigation of U.S. naval crimes. It's so important, which was a great gag.
Yeah.
And then they moved into the gun things. It just got better and better. And it was such a break from what was not a great episode.
Raises a really good point, though. There's been multiple naval crime shows like JAG and NCIS. And I'm like, how
much
bad
crime
is the Navy?
Well, there's multiple NCISs.
Yeah,
that's my favorite part of NCIS is how is this possibly going to be related to naval things?
Yeah, this guy was in the Navy for 12 days. He was dishonorably discharged. We're still investigating.
Because that's what we do.
Yeah.
We're NCIS.
NCIS Wyoming, you're landlocked.
Doesn't matter. There's still crime.
Can I just say, though, in this moment, I found it so jarring, and this is such a weird thing for me to focus on, that little ottoman that Grandpa had. Which,
because it's got a weird amount of front and center focus.
Yeah, and it's just so ornate, and it's like Grandpa brought that from his place.
He obviously did, because he's like, well, I'm... he was a jerk about it. Let's be real.
I know.
He's
I wrote down Grandpa equals dick in this one.
He's like, I'm going to tell you, and you have to forgive me. And once you've said I forgive you, I'm going to just rub it in your face for the rest of the episode.
Yeah.
What a cock.
But yeah, in a world where everything's drawn so cartoony and single-colored, that fucking ottoman, I couldn't stop looking at it.
Well, maybe one of the animators was like, guys, I just bought this ottoman and I love it. I'm just going to put it in the episode. Is that all right? And they're like, we're not going to stop you.
Maybe it was the opposite. It was like a guy brought an ottoman to work and everyone made fun of him. And so they're like, let's put it in the episode as well. Just immortalize your stupid ottoman, you fucking...
Reggie and his ottoman.
With that ottoman, it's an interesting point because I wrote down specifically how well drawn the bleachers were when they were at the car show with the grime and the dirt. It was like HD bleachers, which is such a weird thing to focus on when you're cartooning.
Yeah.
No, there was actually a lot of really high-end animation in this bit as well. I'm pretty sure during the Demolition Derby, the majority of the cars were 3D rendered as well.
The Matrix shot when it was they were flying through the air and stuff. I'm like, oh, that looks quite good. The only other bit of wackiness I had was the escalation of Abe throwing the lunchbox off the cliff, and then the coat rack, pushing the coat rack that he somehow pulled from his car, and then just pushing the entire car off the cliff as well. I'm like, nah, it didn't pay off for me.
Yeah. My last bit of wacky-ness is the announcer's voice, which, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this Demolition Derby, y'all. We're going to get wrecking. I kind of liked it.
Yeah, I liked it because he was doing his best Richard Attenborough for Truckosaurus. And then it's like, all right, now I know what you're really here for.
The fuck was with Truckosaurus 2 as well?
Yeah,
I love you, Spiel, but what?
Yeah, that was dumb as fuck.
I don't understand.
I don't know if it's a cartoony moment, but I liked, I forget what his name is, but Brandine, I know the wife's name.
Oh, Cletus.
Cletus. I liked that they were in it because I feel like they don't get a lot of airtime. But then I didn't like
joke
that
he
they
actually has.
about suicide of their favorite
Well,
cars.
kids, you know, the movie Cars, where they're all going to commit suicide right now. I'm Cletus.
Yeah.
Well,
don't do that.
of HD Simpsons, it's probably one of the better Cletus bits because often it just descends into we do meth or we cook meth or we're inbred and we...
Yeah, he's never one that they hinge a plot point on. It's just quick aside, weird joke, about meth, incest, or all of the above. So, that it was about suicide was like, well, that's a refreshing change. Oh, God, that's still horrifying.
You know, if they were going to make a Cars reference, they could have been like... Thank you, Father, for bringing us here with the money he made from voicing that tow truck in that Cars movie or something like that, you know? Like,
That's a long way to get there, but sure.
Yeah, but like...
Anything to burn Larry the Cable Guy.
Yeah, God.
So how about the heart of this episode? You know, in an episode about Grandpa and Homer's relationship, did you feel the bumps?
I did not.
You know what? I didn't like the song, but I kind of like the pie sequence and of young Homer misunderstanding his mother's message about, you know, and, I've learned food equals love, and trying to explain that's why he loves food so much, I guess. But
And that's the origin of his weight gain.
yeah, it was kind of sweet. The
Like
fact
a
that
cobbler.
Homer's mother's love for him. I say Homer's mother's because I temporarily forgot her name. Mona, yep. Thank you.
And the guest star for this episode was Glenn Close, returning once again as Mona Simpson.
It's weird. It didn't sound
No, I thought
Like
it was definitely a
it sounded
stand-in.
like, yeah.
Right.
Like Charles Ray.
Yeah. Another bit I didn't love.
So, you know what? Like, with the heart of that, it would have been fine. It's great to just show us a story where, you know, Homer has this love of his mum through food and that's just entrenched. But then they had to go and say it. And that's the biggest issue where I think he actually said, didn't he? You taught me food is love.
Yeah.
It's like, just...
Yeah,
it
it's
was
like
so on the nose.
the writers are sitting there going, hey, you know the rule show, don't tell? Yeah. What if we showed and told? Oh my God, guys, where's my
Isn't that
promotion?
doubly as good?
Yeah,
Surely.
It's show and tell at school.
Yeah.
And look, there is something sweet about that moment, but the problem is, the song was like, 3-4 verses or something, and most of it was just listing various pies.
Yeah.
And it was stretching out the premise. Like a pie dough, you don't stretch it out too far. Like,
Someone
Kind
knows
of
his
made me
pies.
hungry.
Yeah. Can we get pie?
Yeah.
sure.
I should have baked a pie. Damn it.
If only you'd
Oh,
known.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was the kind of thing where they had to use the animation to undercut the song by doing other things like having Homer scrape birds' feet into the pie crust.
Oh,
And
Yeah, that was weird. I thought he was doing like the 4 and 20 blackbirds baked in a pie. That song. When the pie was over, the
Birds were like shit.
You're
weren't
lost
they?
to Eddie.
I have no idea what you're
Wouldn't
doing.
You're
give me
teaching
a
me
pretty
so many
dish
things today,
to
Jordan.
lay before a king. Yeah, something like that. I
That's
can't remember the name of the
right.
song.
Did you not have a childhood?
Well,
What
yeah,
is the
but it
name of
was
it?
all to do with See My Vest, made me realize.
Ah, right.
Sing a song of sixpence.
Sing a song of
Pocket-
sixpence. Thank you.
pocket full
Yes.
of rye.
And then there's a whole thing about like, it was a recruiting song for pirates, and it's like, no, bullshit. Thank you, Snopes.com, for sponsoring this section of the podcast.
Wild, Jordan.
Yeah.
So, how about the heart between Grandpa and Homer? How'd we feel about
Yeah,
There's a
that-
reason we've already deviated from that question because there is none.
Yeah, that was like an anti-heart. What I didn't understand was why Homer, on this day, was so caring towards Abe when he's shown that he does not care.
What, on the heart attack day?
Yeah, if he lives
That
or
seems
dies.
pretty extreme.
Yeah, I know, but like...
It's a
he's-
refreshing change from the episode where he let Grandpa's kidneys explode.
So you're saying
Yeah.
he doesn't need a new muffler?
And then at the hospital, and Abe is on his deathbed, and yeah, maybe that would, like, actually seeing your father, like, close to death would make you go, of course, like, anything for you, Dad, but that's so usually out of character for Homer that I didn't buy it.
Well, that's kind of what's disappointing about the episode to me is because they really built it up like Grandpa's in trouble here. And then, like, as funny as the Hibbert joke was, just to quickly deviate from that, like, was sort of a letdown.
I was actually kind of going, it would be very interesting if he did die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want it to happen necessarily, but it's been 400 seasons. It's maybe, you know, it wouldn't be... I dropped my pen.
Yeah,
I'm going to go with my pen instead of finishing that thought.
watching Beach try and swing his chair to get to his pen. Comedy gold, people. I'm glad the cameras caught that.
You all missed it.
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing about the heart that's sort of disappointing with this episode is that, like, I don't know why Grandpa was mad at Homer.
Yeah, because he was like, you said you forgave me and then you didn't, but no, it didn't make sense. You're trying to get him to forgive you. Stop being a dick.
Yeah, that didn't make sense to me. Anyway, ultimately, though, guys, did this feel like an episode of The Simpsons?
Not really. Well, I guess no one's entirely out of character. It just feels so drawn out and then so rushed all of a sudden and then so drawn out again. It's paced like fuck.
Yeah.
So it's hard to feel like the characters are behaving like themselves because everything's so erratic and just scattershot.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've done this before and it probably gets said all the time with these new age episodes, but for me as a newcomer to this, it's just there's so many times that they make a comment that's beyond the show, something that's so meta that it feels like every character is aware that they're in a show.
Yeah.
Which is frustrating for me as someone who liked the originals.
Yeah.
I'm going to say there's a bit where Bart goes, I hate Grandpa. He always calls me buddy or fella. First of all, no, he doesn't. Second of all, it's been 30 fucking years. We know he doesn't do that.
Yeah.
It's a joke you could get away with in maybe an earlier season, but it's been so long, and like you said, they're so meta at this point. Them claiming they know something about themselves that we know is not true is just much more glaring.
The other thing with that sequence was that Marge and Lisa were really keen to get on the hating Grandpa bag on, when usually one of either Marge or Lisa will be like, oh, you really should forgive your father, like it was a long time ago, or he's done so much for you since, and say something like what Homer says later is that, like, you stayed with me, you did take care of me in your own way. That would have been what at least one of them would have said and tried to play the kind of...
But they're all on the hate train.
Yeah, it was...
Especially for such a relatively small transgression when, the greater point is Mona left. Like, that frustrates me now, the more that I think about that. Yeah, you're right, Jordan. Yes or no, would you watch it again?
No, there's nothing to get from this.
Definitely not.
No.
Simple.
Now we get into what would you change about the episode. We'll start with you, Eddie.
I only have, there's a lot of things, but I'm going to pick one. So at the end,
so many things.
Homer says something along the lines of, I wish this could have all been tied up in a little bow. And what I instantly thought about that moment was that they really could have done a callback, and he could have said, everything should have been tied up in a neat little package.
Yeah.
And I would have loved that. And I left that and I said, okay, whatever. But then at the end, they tied it up in a bow.
Yeah.
And that frustrated me.
And he says it out loud again.
Yes.
Just in case you didn't get it.
Foreshadowing.
And it's not like, I'll go to the back room and get the recipes. Nope. Had them on my person all the whole time, despite working at this restaurant for 40 odd years.
Every time I need a recipe, I untie this bow, pick out the one I want, and then afterwards put it back and retie the bow.
I've never worked out a card catalog system.
Exactly. I haven't upgraded to digital. I haven't been able to afford it.
So it should have been a neat little package.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And anything else you'd like to change? They said a couple of things.
That I didn't watch it.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're working on the time machine. How about you, BT? What would you like to change about this episode?
Man, I think have us hear what Grandpa says. He doesn't have to go through the full explanation because he doesn't need to explain to Homer what was in the lunchbox. He could have just said, you remember that lunchbox your mother left you? I threw it off a cliff. Yeah. And then at least we have some mystery of we know Homer knows what's going on, but we're not sitting there going, what is possibly worth this? And at least then there's a bit more air of mystery because like, why was this lunchbox so important? And then you can get into it a little bit more and drip feed that information instead of just exposition dump right when the whole family finds out. Because it leaves your audience in the dark and then we get nothing from being in that dark. It just slows the whole thing down. And put the goddamn main conflict in the middle of the second act. For fuck's sake, that's how act structures work.
Jordan?
Yeah, I think to achieve that, Beej, piggybacking off that, you probably don't need the destruction
I was about to say,
sequence.
the other thing is, the only thing you need to get this episode rolling is Abe needs to have a heart attack.
Yeah.
You don't need to have Homer reversing his car into a light pole and some guy walking up to him and going, hey, that was the mayor's favorite light pole. Give me $500 and I'll make it go away. And then somehow...
I'll give you $500.
I'll give you $500.
What?
Oh, fuck,
okay.
And then somehow, despite the fact that that's the opener, Homer is like, oh, my car's going to be in the demolition derby. It's like, that wasn't the deal you made with this person that you just met.
Yeah.
Maybe
why did we have this whole
him? No,
sequence? Like, it was so weird. Why not have him go, gee, that's a bit of an old clunker there, fella. Mind if I buy it from you for $500? Yeah, done. And then that gets you to the demo faster, which you don't even need because then Grandpa just needs to have a heart attack and actually have to be in the demolition derby. Breathe.
Sorry, I have a little bit of a tangent on that. You know how he did that whole sequence where he the car was bought off him and then he went home and told Marge, etc.
Yeah.
Did he wore a new jacket?
Yeah.
When he was at home?
I think it was meant to be the next day, but I'm not sure.
But why?
Was he meant to
have
bought it? That's what I mean.
maybe. I mean, he spent money on the windows, like the plexiglass soundproof windows. But
Yeah.
was that all of the money? Maybe he bought himself a fancy new jacket as well.
And a fancy new Ottoman.
Yeah.
I did kind of like the line where he walks in, he's like, Marge! It's like, whenever you say Marge like that, there's some kind of bad news. Marge, Marge, Marge. And
Well, why
he
did he
opens
have
his shirt, he's got a Marge shirt.
Yeah, why did he have a Marge shirt?
Because he's saying Marge more.
Yeah,
it's other
but-
ways to say Marge, Jordan.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
I liked it, okay.
But yeah, if you got rid of destruction sequence, like you were saying, if you can have Abe have a heart attack in any other way, and then devote the rest of the time to maybe Bart and Lisa, even like doing a bit of investigating or something. Just because I love Bart and Lisa team up. Everyone loves a fucking Bart and Lisa team up.
Yep.
Yeah,
But just
they were
like
finding the lunchbox.
someone trying to figure out, maybe Bart and Abe still having a good relationship, right? And so Abe enlisting Bart to help him find the lunchbox for Homer.
And then if we don't know what's actually in the lunchbox, they can look for it without knowing its significance.
Yes.
And that's fun as well.
Because, that was the other weird thing about Bart being on the hate train is because it's something we've discovered in the Simpsons history that pretty much since the Hellfish episode, Bart and Abe secretly have a really good relationship and they're really good friends.
You were saying before, mutual hatred is a great motivator.
Mutual hatred of Homer. Yeah. And just quickly as for what I changed, it's pretty much recovering it. Like, I don't mind that it was a secret, but I think the secret would have been better explored if it was in the context of the escape room and then they could have brought it up. And, if the family's also watching on the screens and they can hear and everything, then that sort of would give you a break so it didn't feel so much like a bottle episode. I think it's just so disappointing that the escape room is not where they took the episode. It was just there for a gag. Any other musical moments that stood out to you?
Oh, I did kind of like the parody, like Sarah McLachlan.
But it was
But
so
why?
pointless and out of nowhere.
No, it was pointless, but at least it was short. It was mercilessly short. And the lyric, I can't remember the exact lyric changes or whatever, but like, no one will give me a bone or something like that. And like these sad puppy dogs just like looking up at the camera.
Yeah.
Like that's
so dark.
yeah.
You
So
sick
dark.
bastard.
Yeah.
Laughing at sad
it was so
dogs.
cute. No, I wasn't laughing at it. I just liked that, they were parodying the...
Yeah.
What's the RSPCA in America? Is it still the RSPCA?
No, because R is royal,
So it wouldn't be royal.
SPCA.
Yep.
ASPCA, maybe something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, and the other one was that, the Hit the Road Jack one. Charles Ray.
No,
not
I thought it
funny.
was funny that they mentioned that because I did feel like it didn't sound like the
No.
original.
Yeah,
So
and at least you can explain it in Mo Can't Afford Ray Charles.
yeah,
Sorry, just on that not musical moment for that moment. I love that the love tester was back in that.
Yeah.
Random.
At least that has been a staple of Mo's
Yeah.
Bar, except they do reference it, I've noticed, quite a bit since that initial
It
episode.
pops up every now and then.
Yeah.
All right, we're at the end. Eddie, do you have any other notes?
I'm looking forward to watching a good episode.
We still got one more between now and then. So,
And the teens is such a coin flip.
yeah.
Jordan, any other notes?
Yeah, a couple. Sorry. I did not like when Homer is like, well, I'll take your car and you'll take the bus. Couldn't remember who he said he was, and you'll be Rosa Parks. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I do not like that reference.
We'll
That
be
is
like
not,
rock bands or Rosa Parks.
Yeah, don't like that. Rock stars and Rosa
And that
Parks.
sort of felt
not
like
cool.
it was a drop plot point as well, like that this was going to be an episode where Marge has to,
Take the bus. That could have
yeah.
been a good B story. No, not a good reference to make, guys.
She's a famous bus rider. How many of those
Oh,
we
God.
got?
Yeah, was that a rip on Seth MacFarlane? Meth MacFarlane?
Yeah. Yeah, I
Anyway.
noticed that. And a weird, like, Billy Joel stab as well. Like,
Yeah.
a very drunk Billy Joel.
I kind
Well,
of like that. He just got so drunk he had to do demolition derby.
I mean, remember when he did those concerts with Elton John? He was like plastered for half of them apparently, and like coming out when Elton would do like his part of the set and like lounging over Elton's piano and stuff. Like he was wasted a lot of the time, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, when I saw him in New York at Madison Square Garden,
Yeah.
he was quite on top form.
Oh, yeah, that would... yeah.
Motherfucker actually sang Uptown Girl. It's such a
Wow.
bad song, but it made
Yeah.
me so happy.
But it's like fun bad.
Yeah, and because it was like around Christmas time, he had a Santa hat on as well that he was like twirling around, like he was off his piano for that one. Well, maybe
Nice.
he was drunk.
Yeah.
sounds like-
Yeah. Think about it, Elliot. Think about it.
You went to say off his piano. I thought you were going to say off his chops.
Off his piano is the Billy Joel version. When he's not playing piano is when
He's
yeah.
drinking.
Yeah.
Just side note, I put nutmeg on rice pudding, not cinnamon, but that's just me.
Edgy.
This is I think the second index in a row that I've been on where there's been a sentient hubcap.
Yes.
The sentient hubcap playlist.
Yeah. Is this the origin of dough?
It's meant to be.
Fuck that
Allegedly.
joke. Fuck it so much.
Yeah. And when Marge like slices the apple, he just eats the whole core. I mean, I'm assuming there's
Mona.
still a stalk. Yeah, fuck. Sorry. Eatable complex or something.
Didum.
Edible.
Yeah. Silent treatment joke was average at best, and you saw it coming a
I
mile
went
off.
for so long.
That it was so telegraphed as well.
Yeah.
Oh, that's just like as ineffective as the silent treatment. And now we've got to spend a minute in this world now.
Yep.
And there was another telegraph joke as well when they were like, oh, Homer just doesn't want to get out of the car because how much the car lifts.
Yeah.
Then the car lifts.
Crazy.
Fuck.
And the
Waka waka.
last one was kind of like when they're eating the pies at that diner or whatever, and Lisa's like, hey, this is how I imagine jazz tastes.
Always with the
Always
jazz.
with the jazz, yeah. That wasn't too bad.
Weird HD Marge does not like jazz and is really resentful of Lisa.
Yeah.
How about you, BT? Any other notes?
Well, Jordan kind of covered all of mine except the last one
Sucker.
where... Oh, no, it's fine. It's fine. I don't hold a grudge at all. No, just the very last one was like, well, this diner was struggling once, maybe because of our position underneath a cliff.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good.
All right, well, it's time for my final notes.
Now it's time, and now it's time for his final notes. Elliot's final notes.
Final notes.
Is there an echo in here?
Please turn off all cell phones and holster your truck nuts. And they actually showed the fucking truck testicles.
Yeah,
Sorry, I wrote that down because I want a pair. A little sack for my nuts.
There's a
like
weird-
ironically, or like get real big ones,
Yeah.
like a
Sweaty
elephant's
ones.
balls. Yeah.
There's a weird legal dispute between the two main companies that make that over who did it first.
You're kidding me.
Yeah.
That is a fascinating fact.
There are some like law documents I really want just because of the things that the judge has to say. It's like, so you say that you created these truck nuts first?
Yeah.
Truck nuts with a Z is obviously a derivative brand.
It's funnier than truck nuts with an S.
And they all had little velvet bags for them all as well.
Well, yeah, when do you
Strange.
store your truck nuts?
Also, are they making a commentary about the people that go to demolition derbies that one of them had one of those
Yes.
giant brick phones with like the aerial coming out of it and everything? Like it was like one of the old desk portable phones that you used to get. Very weird.
Not everyone can afford iPhones, Jordan.
That's
Yeah.
a good
It's
point
true.
because also on the start where they were talking about the demo derby, there was a big sign that said no overt racism.
Yeah, if you can prove racism, free cola.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, lots of
I'll
like...
do a lot for free cola.
So lots of subtle racism that you're supposed to pick up on, obviously.
Yeah, look for the clues in the...
Yeah.
And clunky bit where Flanders just inject himself into the
Yep.
window.
Yeah.
Like, again, this joke didn't need to be here. It was clunky. It's dumb. Oh, and I'm pretty sure that when the recipe cards are falling off the cliff and the waitress lady is picking them all up, that's a reference to Edward Scissorhands.
Maybe.
I was like, Matilda or Harry Potter, maybe? I'm not sure.
It's time to rank this thing. On the Simpsons Index, we rank using our 6-point scale, which starts down the bottom at failure. Maybe if the episode was just nah, you give it participant. But for the positive rankings, you got okay bronze, good silver, excellent gold, but for the best of the very best, you give cubic zirconia. Now I'm going to go first. Let me show you how it's done. I'm going to give this a participant. It's just a simple fact. I don't hate it enough to kick it in the pit, but my God, there's a lot that I hate about this episode. But, you know, even going over the stuff, there's some jokes that I kind of like, but 4 things that made me laugh out loud, so not enough to push it up into the positive. BT.
Man, I'm right on the border, and I don't know which way to fall because, yeah, I got a couple of chuckles out of this one, but then it's just such a mess that I really don't like it. And to fuck up something like Mona Simpson, which is such a great heart touch point, but then again, they've fucked it up a few times by this point.
In the teens as well.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
honestly, I feel like I can't hate it enough, unfortunately. As much as I want to, as much as I've like got the foot hovering over its face and I want to kick it in the pit, I won't participant.
All right, Jordan.
Yeah, I'm the same. Like, I don't care about this episode. We always say it, like, a failure is much more fun to watch.
Yeah.
Because it actually stirs up emotion. And this didn't really. And it had opportunity to. Like, I could see an episode like this maybe being a bronze or silver, but it's not great.
They'd put it together better.
Yeah.
And Eddie, finish it off.
I think when I'm trying to go to sleep tonight, lying in bed, I'm not going to be thinking about this episode, about how much I hated it. So I'm going to say participant.
Yeah.
Also, I did laugh out loud once. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got that going for it.
All right, well, unanimous participant. And this will be the... Oh, there's a few from season 29.
What a surprise.
This will be the 5th episode from season 29 to get a unanimous participant.
Oh, God.
It'll be joining the Simpsons.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Which is like this weird episode, Eddie, where they do like Simpsons but in medieval times, and it's not like contextualized by anything. It's just they're in medieval times.
surf is in the medieval surf.
Yeah.
I thought it was Surfer Simpsons.
Hank 10. No.
No, they
Wipeout.
they don't have a wraparound. It's just, hey, imagine if Game of Thrones starred The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Kinda.
Also be joining Left Behind, where Flanders left the Leftorium behind.
Yeah.
And
Oh, that's a double pun.
Yeah.
Wow.
Neither of them are good.
yeah. Which is actually an interesting thing. It's like such a shame they wasted that because, like, yeah, of course the Leftorium couldn't survive in brick and mortar retail anymore.
Yeah.
And over the years, it's become like a mid-mall kiosk, and then in that episode, it's gone. But then that episode sucked. Also, King Lear, where we meet Moe's family.
Oh, yeah.
His father, brother, and sister. That sucked. And also Fears of a Clown, which we reviewed with Hottest 100s and Thousands. That's where Krusty quits his show to do legitimate theatre.
Theatre?
He's tried that a few times.
Yeah, he's quit to become Bill Hicks and
and do like almost beat poetry
He
on a
quit to
black
do
and white.
proper clowning as well.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. All right, and now before we move on to the teens era, is that reputation justified?
Is that reputation justified?
Dennis Perkins of the AV Club.
Dennis the wild card Perkins.
What's he gonna say?
He gave this a B-. So for them, this is actually like bronze or less territory.
Yeah, Dennis, you're getting boring. It's been like B something for the past like 8 reviews.
B's quite high. That's a high rating.
Yeah.
Well, AV Club's sort of weird where A is like the spectrum of good, B's the spectrum of mediocre, and then C's like they're bad.
And D is their absolute worst.
Yeah,
D
but
is a complete fail.
But D's like kind of worth watching because, yeah, that's like your room level stuff. Anyway, he goes on to say, Abe's supposed deathbed after a demolition derby heart attack scare. This deception forms the backbone of a story that aims admirably high, emotionally speaking, but despite a fair handful of decent gags to go along with the heart, Forgive and Regret just can't nail down the Mona-esque mix of sweet and savory like The Simpsons could so effortlessly do about 523 episodes ago.
I mean,
yeah, like it feels more like a C plus than a B minus from what he's saying, but
Yeah.
whatever.
Dennis.
I feel like he was on point with that one,
Yeah, the commentary is on point.
Yeah.
I just don't agree with his rank.
All right, and now let's move on to the teens era, where we're going to season 19, right at the end of the teens era.
Oh, no.
Where we go to watch He Loves to Fly and He Dolls.
What?
Just from title alone, does anyone know what this episode could be?
He loves to fly and he dolls.
As in DOHS?
Yeah.
Wait, it's not. He loves to fly and annoyed grunts.
Yeah, it's usually annoyed grunt. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, they abandoned that at some point.
Good.
All right, well, let's see. We'll be back.
I'm worried.
I'm a flies. He discovers the power of flight.
Does that do anything for
Yes.
you? How about the power to kill you? And we are back, and we just watched our Teens Era episode. This was Season 19, Episode 1, He Loves to Fly and He Dolls. First released in September of '07, it was directed by Mark Kirkland, written by Joel H. Cohen. In this episode, Homer gets a taste of what it's like to ride on a private plane, and the family hire him a life coach to help him achieve the dream of being a guy that rides on private planes regularly, but he doesn't get the job. Guys, what do we think?
I mean, it's an improvement. This one has a cohesive plot, and it
Better
moves
than the
along.
last one. It seemed longer, I think,
Yeah.
maybe because there was more content to it.
You know what? Controversial opinion, it seems.
Yeah?
I really liked this episode.
Yeah?
Yeah. I had a good time.
Well, you know where the door is.
Yeah. You are banned, and we will eradicate your existence from this podcast. Just be like, what do you think, Eddie? Good point. Thank you. All right.
No, I mean, I didn't hate it. And
No,
I did not hate
I
it.
didn't love it. I guess it was good overall, yeah.
I think also because doing this podcast with you, revisiting old Simpsons and realizing how good they are puts everything into context about like I didn't necessarily appreciate them when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But now it's like, God.
You had it so good back then.
Your writing was so crisp and now.
Well, let's hook into it. Eddie, for better or worse, what's a moment from this episode that stands out to you?
The Extractor.
Yeah.
I love The Extractor. And I didn't love it just because it was, you know, a zany cartoon moment in itself. But then when he was delivered home by The Extractor
and
later,
then
that
it's
was
programmed
good.
to ring the doorbell as well.
Yeah, so good.
Because especially in that moment, I was like, wait, they didn't even go to Chicago yet. What? They're still going to Chicago.
Yeah. Wasn't this going to be a one and done for the plane?
Yeah. I dug that, yeah. How about you, BT? What stands out to you from this episode, for better or worse?
This is a weird, again, a memeable moment from The Simpsons with the "At least you tried" cake.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's what this comes from.
Yes.
Yeah, that was the main thing that stood out to me. Because like I said, a lot of these weird memes actually come from episodes you really assume most people wouldn't have seen.
Yeah, Marge Crumping is like a season 18 episode or something.
Yeah.
Old Man Yells at Cloud is in like a terrible episode, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Or the 3 Kids and No Money is
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
like a crappy
Oh,
teens.
That is a horrible episode.
So there are like dedicated meme lords who just watch The Simpsons like, bingo.
We can use that.
We have chosen this moment to be replicated throughout the internet.
And how about you, Jordan? What stands out to you from this episode, for better or worse?
I'm going to answer your question with another question.
You son of a bitch.
What year did Seinfeld end?
99?
Okay, because the Itchy and Scratchy episode in this episode
It was very
was
reminiscent
like,
of the
what's the deal with airplanes? Am I right? Like, oh, there's always some fat guy sitting next to you, and then your elbows get bumped by the trolley, and I was
and
just
then
like,
your arm
this
gets
is
ripped off by the trolley
this-
and a screaming
yeah.
baby makes your ear explode.
yeah, this is like an Itchy and Scratchy version of a Seinfeld bit from like the mid '90s.
I don't know. Airplane travel is evergreen. And, with the rise in discount airlines, that experience, I was like, well, it's at least better than Jetstar,
Yeah, sorry, can you edit some slap bass in behind you saying that sentence? Sorry.
I think also because I'm so fresh to this again, but seeing an Itchy and Scratchy bit was so refreshing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
Brings it back to the old days.
And it was great at the end because, there was all the typical gore of an Itchy and Scratchy, but then at the end, the worst part was that they were stuck on the tarmac for more time.
Yeah.
Relatable.
Yeah, which, man, I feel bad for Americans because that's more of a thing over there than it is for us, being stuck on the tarmac for multiple
Yeah.
hours. Like,
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, when we went to Japan, we flew JAL, and getting out of Sydney, we left exactly on time. We boarded, and the plane left 15 minutes later. Like, it was impeccable. And then on the way back, we were on the tarmac for half an hour because the captain said, we're ready to go, but Sydney Airport doesn't open till 6. And air traffic control have told us to wait here. And I'm like, this is dumb. This is really stupid. Why'd you make the flight 7:30 if we can't leave till 8? Anyway, doesn't matter.
That's weird.
Yeah.
But I also like that, a city's international airport is like, no, we're closed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't land here.
Fucking Sydney, get your shit together. Have shit open between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. God damn it. And what stands out to me from this episode? I'll say, actually, the guest star of this episode, Stephen Colbert playing Colby Krause.
You serious?
Yeah.
I wanted to ask that. I thought it was.
I didn't really recognize his voice, but I'm like, why'd they make him
He
look
has
like
such
Colbert?
a signature voice, though.
Yeah. I thought it was a nice pivot for this episode to take to have this motivational guy for Homer. And, it led to some of my more favorite gags from this episode, like where Homer's, pounding himself with the fucking staple gun. And he's like, here's some advice. Stop doing that.
Yeah, very simple advice, very direct, very good.
Yeah. He did a weird audio joke, though. Oh, we just need some background noise for 4 seconds. And
Yeah, which again, in this episode, not so much, but a lot of the HD ones really do lack background sound. It's like, take your own goddamn notes, Simpson.
Why did he hold the mic over his butt? Some
Yeah.
reaction,
Background
music,
background butt.
from
Yeah.
the butt. Right,
Yeah.
I see.
Buttground.
Emma got background sound.
yes.
Toots.
But yeah, what do we think of Colby Krause? Colby Krause.
Great character.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was
Fast talking, motivational.
Colbert does good voice work.
And he
clearly.
didn't make any Hobbit references.
Yeah,
What?
he's a mad Tolkien fan.
Yeah.
Ah.
Franco came at him, tried to school him on Tolkien knowledge, and he just took him down.
Oh.
Yeah.
There we go.
Nerds!
I kind of thought it's going to be like hey, this is some guy who's not actually that good, or there's going to be something wrong with him.
Yeah.
And then later on, you see him eating a
I do
TV
like to say,
dinner.
I'll be
with
honest,
no
I'm
pants.
not that good at this.
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was a weird turn to take because he'd been absent from the episode for so long at that
Yeah.
point, and
Yeah.
having that kind of made me wish he was there a bit more.
Or at least have an exit line of, Homer, you got the job you've always wanted. There's nothing more I can teach you.
Yeah.
Just wear those bowling shoes.
Or just have him sort of make the point that, yeah, I know how to motivate people, but I can't motivate myself or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I really wish that
Coaches don't play.
Yeah. Play count. How many times before today have you seen this episode?
Never.
I actually think once.
Yeah?
Possibly.
Possibly once?
I don't think I've seen it before either. No, not once.
Yeah, I know I've definitely seen it before. It's not one that I've actively revisited or anything, but so this episode also has the importance, in quotes, of being the first episode to air after the movie. So they reflected this in a big, long movie tributing couch gag. What do we think of this?
I loved that Spider-Pig was back in it because Spider-Pig was the best character of that movie.
Yeah.
No question.
It
about
was
that, but
strange because they showed both things that happened at the end of the movie and the beginning of the movie at the same time, because they had the city destroyed, but then Homer still had the pig poop thing tied to the roof of his car.
yeah.
Like, that's what started the conflict in the movie. So it was weird that it was like all happening and stuff.
Yeah.
There was a thing about like on Imager and someone made a comment about like the Simpsons movie, blah, 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 blah. And someone went, "You liked the Simpsons movie?" And I was like, "Yeah, right. Like, who likes the Simpsons movie? It's so crap compared to the thing." And it got downvoted to hell.
Ooh.
People really like the Simpsons movie, and I'm confused. Have they seen classic Simpsons?
I've not seen the movie since cinemas, so
Yeah.
I don't really have a lot to reflect on. But
Well, that's the thing. It hasn't stuck with anybody like
that's what I think.
who've only watched it once.
They think they like it.
I think I like it.
Yeah. But until we
Um,
review it and prove what the actual answer to that question
Yeah.
is, then, no one knows.
Yeah.
No one knows what to think until we tell them.
Well, I mean, I'm mixed on it. I certainly haven't seen it in a while. And, my plan for this podcast is we'll do a movie special and I'll try and, get as many mini reviews from previous guests as possible, to chime in and we can get, a big 20-person consensus on this. Because, it is a very divisive movie. I'm mixed on it. While at the time I certainly loved Spider-Pig, I thought that overstayed its welcome with all the marketing and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think it was not funny, but The Simpsons, drilling it into the ground was. And
Yeah,
funny.
I mean, in this retrospect, when I saw Spider-Pig, I was like, oh, great, we're doing this again.
Yeah.
Whereas at least when this episode came out, that would have been fresh.
Because that's the other thing as well, Eddie. HD Simpsons have returned to Spider-Pig a few times now, and he's been a plot point, he's been a truffle pig, and it's not always to the benefit. So how about the wackiness? Was this a particularly cartoony episode of The Simpsons?
Parts of it, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the extractor, that was pretty...
The extractor. Burns getting pulled through the water filter system of that fountain is very wacky. And coming out in one piece.
Yeah.
Not sure whether that says he's just really skinny or made of rubber or what, but
He's very amphibious.
not having a good time.
Actually reminded me of that other episode we did, Beach, with the snake fountain. Things coming out of fountains that shouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a playlist.
Yeah.
The car that when Homer was upset and he came home and he gets out of the car and just lets it drive through the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
sounds very wacky.
Very cartoony because it's never resolved either. I mean, do they not have half a house now?
It was just ejected, and Marge probably just came over with a mop and bucket and fixed it all up.
What about when Homer's hiding in the ball pit and Bart starts poking his eye for an hour?
So uncomfortable.
And just the sheer will of Homer to not cry out immediately.
Especially, because there were the two pokes, which, all of us went, ugh, and then, Bart's holding his finger there, and, oh my God.
Awful.
Right in the pupil. Yeah, no, that wasn't good. You know what's wacky? Smithers can't do his job, apparently, because he's like, I'll get the number disconnected. And then he doesn't.
Yeah. Well, you want to talk whack and smile. Jordan's in a corner.
Yep, go.
Sorry, just briefly explain. Jordan's a tad anally retentive, so anytime we have something that's very well known.
A tad?
technically.
A tad.
Yeah.
I think
See,
he's
he's
a little
correct.
more than a tad.
He's correcting my explanation to give you an idea.
Yeah.
We have a segment called Jordan's Anal Corner where we talk about anally retentive things. So the guy, what's his face? Kobe Smulders. What is his name again?
Colbert.
Stephen
Whatever.
Colbert.
Yeah, what was the character name there?
Colby Krause.
There, you see how I got Colby Smulders?
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah.
She does.
Indeed. He's all like, I'll call your boss now to motivate you. And he calls, Mr. Burns' stomach rings, and Smithers shoves a pipe down his throat to try and get it to stop. But
To send it
Mr.
to
Burns
voicemail.
never answers it, and Homer never quits.
Well,
But in the next scene, he quit.
Yeah.
How did that happen? I'm Jordan.
I mean, while we're here, can I just rattle off a few?
Sure, as long as we're in the
few?
corner.
Yeah.
Are we voting on this?
No.
He'll do it anyway.
My word goes.
He'll call you later.
Why does he need to video record anything? He's there. He can just watch it.
So Homer can see himself.
Yeah, that was another problem that I had, that was never, a thing again after Homer did that big extended, what do I do? Film this pickle relish dish for insurance? What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's just a problem I had with the storytelling of this episode, that the videoing never mattered beyond that and the banister gag.
Staple guns don't work like that. I hate that kind of...
They don't launch like that.
Yeah, they don't launch at all. You need pressure on something before it will actually eject the staple
Yeah.
anyway, or it would just like fall out and into the ground.
Same with nail guns.
Yeah, exactly. It's stupid. And after Homer fell down the stairs, how did Colby teleport down one floor? You never see him stepping
motivated.
over Homer. He's
He was
just
so
suddenly
motivated,
downstairs.
he jumped out the window.
Yeah,
I'm
maybe-
seeing the retentive part now.
Yeah, very.
yeah.
Told you.
Well, yeah, maybe it was that gap made in the house from the car driving through, and
Yeah, it had loosened the floor, and he
Yeah.
could. Although no, that was on the other side of the house. That was through like the dining room.
John and Daniel Connor.
And as we always say, a wizard did it.
Yeah.
So, any other cartoony moments?
Marge eating her hair was kind of gross.
You never do that when you're nervous?
Elliot is eating his beard right now.
I'm regretting it too.
I liked the idea of Marge sucking her tear back in because it's a thing I want to be able to do.
Yeah. Oh, that was such a bleak moment as well.
Yeah.
Marge just answers the call from Homer. Is it bad news? Oh, I never should get my hopes up ever. I was like, fucking
Nothing
hell.
ever works out. Yeah, very desperate moment.
Yeah.
Lionel Richie just being on permanent retainer in Mr. Burns' jet, or any jet, because
Amazing.
later on he's in Homer's jet.
Has he got anything else to do?
Apparently not.
I mean,
Lionel, if you want to be on the show,
yeah. I mean, probably
can I
just
call you Lionel?
worry about his daughter.
Yeah.
I guess that's about it.
She's doing fine.
She's doing
Better now.
Yeah.
She's gotten out of that.
You know,
Show.
a parent's job is never done. So, yeah.
And I thought I was going to hate the song parody, but no, Beer You, Beer Me. I liked that
But then
one.
second bite with now every word is beer. Oh, I forgot the words.
I hated I forgot the words, but I liked every word is beer.
Yeah, I did like the beer. I was saving that for the musical segment, but
Yeah.
we'll talk about it now because it was so good.
Yeah.
All I was thinking about was, hey, beer me that water. I just say beer me sometimes. Gets a laugh like a quarter of the time.
Lord, beer me strength.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah. And I did like at the end as well, Lionel Richie, please drop your American Music Awards. They're
You
weighing
drop
us down.
yours.
I don't have any.
That's right.
Exactly.
You don't.
Yeah, that was
What a sassy bitch.
Yeah.
I love
This episode, something that I know I'm going back to the segment about what stood out for you, but something that was great about this episode on the whole was the one-liners. There were so many just one-liners that were amazing. I think one at the start was when Homer's going out with Mr. Burns and Bart says, "Have fun with your boyfriend."
He's not my boyfriend.
Yeah.
Typical teenage girl
Yeah.
parody.
It was weird that Bart was just like reading a newspaper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In that lounge chair
Yeah,
as well.
what chair was he on?
Yeah, in that room that's the seldom used lounge room.
Yeah.
Can I say some anti-wacky? The opposite of was when Duffman will report this to the FAA. 'Cause that is responsible flying, Duffman. Good for you.
Yeah. Although I don't know if I liked it, but yeah, the fact that he had to explain what a disciplinary hearing from the FAA
Yeah, this will be
entails.
reviewed by a panel of three retired pilots.
Yeah.
Which, but it was quick, so even if
Yeah.
you didn't like it, it was over.
Yeah. And also, of course, the wackiness of Homer being able to land the private jet at the end. Like, I don't know. I thought it was a fine enough bit, but I just saw the whole and now to taxi. I saw that coming a mile away. It just... See, I'm very mixed on this episode. I don't know where I'm falling with it, to be honest.
So here's a thing
Yeah?
that you might not have noticed.
Oh.
Did you notice when we were first introduced to the pilot, he was a buff sunglass whatever guy?
Yeah.
But then at the end, when he was pulled out of the water, he was like a skinny, weird-looking guy wrapped in a towel.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Well, he had done heroin at this point.
Wait, when you say when you first introduced, do you mean the one that like of Burns's plane, or you mean the other plane?
No, he
Okay,
paid him the
right.
money.
Yeah.
Anything for a former Marine. Semper Fudge. Yeah, that one.
Good callback.
Yeah.
I do like, did you say Semper Fudge? No, I said the correct thing.
Yeah. And that worked. I thought it was a bit weird that, the pilot did a lot of heroin. It's like, and the last
Yeah.
episode me and Beach did, there were
We
like,
had a heroin playlist.
2 episodes with jokes about heroin.
I don't think heroin works like that. I don't think it takes a while to kick in.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty immediate. So how is he so like,
Well,
everything's fine now?
According to the documentary Train Spotting, that's exactly just you shoot and then bam, you sink into the floor.
Yeah. You become the carpet. Yeah.
But it just seems there's so many things in these new episodes where there's lines that are just dark and heavy and don't fit with the Simpsons vibe. It's not Simpsons.
No.
They're trying to be edgy.
Yeah, edgy.
Failing.
Oh, and the one I forgot, Milhouse. I love the freak fries bit when Nelson was like, freak fry.
Yeah.
But then Milhouse went on to say, if it touches you, you get suicide.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
And accidental suicide playlist.
Yeah. What the fuck?
Heroin and
Millhouse.
suicide.
Who started that rumor? Like, what kind of like weird?
Well, I kind of like it because there were always like weird little stories when you were a kid of like, oh, you can't such and such because it's haunted or something like that. Or there are always those kind of things floating around. They probably just started from.
I hear you get killed by a big potato. Like that could have been.
It was
real
weird.
kid rumor.
It was definitely weird to say you die by suicide or whatever it was.
No,
But
very weird.
The idea that it was cursed or something was
Especially if they'd followed through on that premise.
Yeah.
Very dark episode. Wouldn't air that.
What, Millhouse's suicide? Yeah, they wouldn't.
No, well, I mean, Nelson was touching it, so
Yeah, true.
I mean, he's got a lot of problems in the Muntz household.
Yeah, but we know how he grows up. We've seen his future.
One of the many possible
He
futures.
gets both Sherry and Terry pregnant. That's a thing. That happened.
At the same
Forgot
time
about
as
that.
well, or in at least a very close.
One's just a sympathy pregnancy.
Okay.
How about the heart of this episode? Did we feel any bumps?
Just the Marge crying bit. That was very sad all of a sudden. And you're like, yeah, I wouldn't want to disappoint Marge either.
No, it'd be very
But I never
tough.
would. Marge.
He's
Wink.
winking.
Damn it, Jordan, this show isn't a vehicle for you to hook up with Marge.
Well,
But what if
why
you
am
were
I doing it then?
What if you were going for that big promotion and you didn't make it?
I wouldn't fail.
Jordan's
It's
number
just
will
that
be listed
easy.
on the episode.
Yeah. The world would open a path for me,
I
and it would
see.
be fine.
All right. Wow. A lot of confidence there. You should be a life coach.
I'm wearing my bowling shoes.
Hello. Welcome to Jordan's motivational speech. Just succeed. Okay. That's $400. See you later.
Just be like me,
Just succeed. I got $400 for this.
I think it was good on the heart thing to see Marge vulnerable. Like, she's finally
Yeah.
getting something good in her life. She's buying name brand groceries.
Ooh, Pepsodent.
That dun, 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 that music cue on Pepsodent and the close up was very good.
So yeah, I felt that. And then, her getting disappointed because Homer didn't get the job.
Yeah, kind of disappointing why it wasn't more explored is the family's benefit of this, supposed...
Yeah. Because, like, if he just told the truth, Marge wouldn't have. She'd be like, oh, well, okay. That
Yeah.
sucks. But, it wasn't more that she would be disappointed that he lied to her, or the money has never meant anything to Marge. Homer's always provided.
Yeah, and, like, what do we think about, like, Homer revealing it all in the jet at the end? Like...
I honestly don't even remember it. Hang on.
Wait, did he?
No, he never
I thought
really...
they got distracted by the...
Yeah, they got distracted by the thing, and he was about
right.
to tell her. And then at the end, he's
Yeah,
like...
he lies
He
to cover it
lies and goes, oh, you know what? This isn't for me. I'm going to go beg for my job back. And it's like, okay. You don't get any real comeuppance for
Yeah.
lying to your wife and making her worry so much, but cool.
Yeah, there we go. So that's a bit disappointing.
Yes.
Plot hole.
Because,
Yeah.
I mean, this is sort of where the episode's bringing me down is like, I like a lot of the jokes, but the story is sort of what's not quite doing it for me. And especially because, I think there is heart with Homer being dejected, getting a taste of the high life and jet setting and all that stuff.
He looks miserable sitting in that Krusty
Yeah.
Burger. Like, when Bart sees him, he looks drunk. I mean, I don't think he is drunk because he's just
No.
at a Krusty
It's
Burger.
just,
Well,
Yeah, I mean, it's possible he brought his own, but he just looks so sad.
there wasn't soda in that cup.
But also, just try and find another job in
Yeah.
the meantime. Like,
You know.
what are you doing?
Just sit. Because that's what I thought they were doing at first when he pulls into the Krusty Burger. It's like, okay, he's going to work there.
Yeah.
But nope, he's just sitting there doing mazes. Although I do like, they're all the same maze. Well, someone's got to do them.
Yeah, which is a strange callback to the one where he can't successfully do the maze.
He's had a lot of practice.
Yeah, I guess so. It's probably the same maze for the last 30 years.
Yep.
Another children's maze? Please.
Can we talk about... I don't know what his name is, but the rich Texan.
That
Rich
is his
Texan.
name.
Okay.
His cat
His
name
name
is
is Richard Texan.
I do remember that much. I liked when Homer went for the job and impressed him and he said, all you have to do is write your name so I can read it.
Yeah.
And then they cut off. I kind of would have liked if the reason Homer didn't get the job was because he couldn't read his name.
Yeah.
I know, if he'd been like, Homer,
Yeah.
J. Simpson, what's the J stand for?
Yeah.
J. But what's it stand for? J. And then kind of a who's on first bit.
Yeah, and
I'll
then they
tell you,
go
I'm
to
not
black
putting
and
up with
white.
this.
Yeah.
And I did also like the joke as, ha ha ha, you can really tell the same joke I just told you back to me.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. But ultimately, though, guys, did this feel like an episode of The Simpsons?
For me, I thought it had all the zany one-liners, a good amount of characters and general wackiness. But as much as I liked it, I think the big thing was there was only one story. There wasn't a B story. And it kind of felt, for me, it felt short, to be honest.
Yeah.
Burns was on the money because I noticed his shopping list that he'd already bought had laudanum on it, which I thought was quite cute. Laudanum is an old-timey drug.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like a relaxing.
Like an opiate.
Yeah,
Like Mercury.
Oh.
like mercury. God.
I thought they were leaning into...
Don't do Mercury, kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, the latest trend in schools, bashing thermometers open. I thought Burns, they were leaning too hard into wacky Burns in this one as well. Like, that was a cell phone. I thought it was a lemon drop, and
How small was that fucking phone?
yeah. Then the whole penny and the fountain thing, I thought, I don't know, there was just a
We knew it was going
brisk
to fall in. It would took a long time for
And I
that to happen.
didn't like the Homer's, "You're not a penny," after he pulled him out. Like,
the
what are
delivery
you,
of that especially
stupid?
was...
Yeah.
Yeah, because he sees him, he looks at him, he shrugs, and he pulls him out. He knows. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah. So I think on the whole, the show felt okay. I don't know about many other character breaks, though. Like, the characters mostly felt like themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, for the most part.
A quick little passing bit of character I really liked is Ralph's ice cream is on the ground, but he's still holding the cold. He's just licking the air. Like, that's good. I like that.
Yeah, that why isn't that a GIF? That should be a GIF.
Yeah, it'd be like me pretending everything is fine kind of gifs. It can replace the "this is fine" dog in the fire.
Oh, actually, just as a line reading, you know, that cartoon, The Dog in the Fire, This is Fine. How do you hear that being said? We'll start with you, Eddie.
This is fine.
So it's kind of a, this is fine.
I get more of an emphasis on fine. It's like, this is fine.
Oh,
Oh.
because mine's like a long drawn out, this is fine.
These pretzels are making me thirsty.
These pretzels are making me thirsty.
This is bad. I should know my meme history, but is it in a like a park ranger hat?
Something like that. I'm not sure what it is.
Maybe it has like a,
It's a little hat of some kind.
what's that bear called from that
Smoky.
Like Yogi Bear.
Yogi Bear? Maybe it's a Yogi Bear
Hey,
voice.
boo boo! This building's on fire. This is fine.
It's a tiny little hat.
We are fact checking the memes. It's more like a fedora.
So it should be, this is fine, my lady. Fedora is always funny.
The fedoras. So, yes or no, would you watch this one again?
Give me another 10 seconds and I'll formulate a response.
Yes.
I mean, if it pops on and I'm comfy.
Hangover test, yes. Otherwise, no.
Yeah, look, I think I'd watch this again. Maybe I'd watch it again in the context of a playlist. So, what playlist would we put this in?
Heroin!
Heroin playlists.
And Homer's unemployment.
Yep.
Sexual harassment playlist.
Ooh.
Oh, dear.
With the
Svetlana.
Svetlana, yeah.
Oh, that was a weird joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, she'll do
Or you-
anything, wink, except sex. But other than that, anything, wink.
I'm
I'm
confused
aroused.
and aroused.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
was...
which
but also-
I
yeah.
feel personally attacked on confused and aroused because that's my default setting.
Yeah.
Beach, can you... Now I'm looking at it.
You didn't
Just
have to.
The fact that she says, like, I'm Svetlana, or you can call me Hey Baby, like, not cool. Also, the double negative playlist. Never don't concentrate. To go with the don't do what Donnie don't does.
Yeah, or initialism playlist, you know.
Yes.
How about uncomfortable 9/11 jokes?
Oh, yeah.
Where Homer's like, commercial airlines are for commoners and terrorists.
Losers and terrorists.
Yeah, it's like,
yeah.
Not good.
I have a new segment.
Yeah?
Oh, wow, bold of you to go for it.
First time. Things you can take out into the real world. I want to take some lines from Colby, such as "Hello and welcome to success" when answering the phone.
Yeah.
Pretty good, pretty good.
Maybe that's the name of his business. Hello and welcome to success. Colby speaking. Like,
All right, we're almost at the end here. BT, what would you like to change?
I think just more consequence for Homer, or more stakes, because again, I don't quite buy that Marge loves that he has a new job. The point was to make him feel better about himself, not necessarily the job itself. And so her stake of, no, everything's going well and now I'm going to be sad. It should be that he lied and, I don't know, something about that doesn't quite fit properly. And I would just add more jokes because I didn't laugh out loud all that much. So more make with a laugh.
All right. Eddie, what would you like to change?
I think I'd like a B story, either around Mr. Burns having to buy a new phone. I think that was set up well but not explored.
Yeah.
Or something to do with Marge buying brand name groceries.
Although I did like the name of the phone store, E.T.'s Phone Home.
Yeah.
Excellent wordplay there.
Jordan, how about yourself?
well, I think that story can be improved upon. I was wondering if there could be another version of this plot where he likes the private jet and everything so much that he devises ways that he can either cozy up to Mr. Burns and like try and be his friend and lackey, or in a darker twist, invents ways to put Mr. Burns in danger so that he can rescue him and then get
Alright.
thanked with dinner
All right.
wherever he wants.
Interesting. Because that was the other problem I had with the episode. That, okay, so Homer gets this life coach, and then we have like 2 montage scenes of him being successful. Like, I don't know what the first one is, and the second one, he's just in bed with Marge still wearing the bowling shoes.
Yeah.
And then he's getting all these job offers. Like, were those companies watching you bone or like, hire that man? Like, how did we go from...
He included it in his resume.
Yeah. It's just like, how did we go from him feeling successful to everyone wants to hire him now?
Actually, hold on. He was wearing the bowling shoes and becoming so successful. Did he wear them to the interview?
He didn't. That's what I was going to point out.
Well,
is he
come
gets
on.
dressed and everything and he's wearing his normal shoes.
Yeah, that was like the premise of the story, and they left it out.
Yeah, that's sort of leaning into what I'd change about the episode is that I wish the bowling shoes were his foil.
Yeah. So when Homer's like, the plane needs to land the plane, he puts the bowling shoes on, and he's like, no, I still don't know how to land the plane. And the guy on the phone's like, Homer, the confidence was in you all along. He's like, oh, it's like that thing with the shoes aren't really the thing. It's me, confidence.
Yeah. What I was going to say, like, I wish it was his foil, because bowling shoes are slippery as fuck. Like,
Yeah, on any normal surface, they're not great.
Yeah, or that he's wearing them out in the real world so much he's scuffed up his shoes and now his bowling game is down and
And he's fucking up the lacquered floor of the bowling alley and gets kicked out.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's too much. I've gone too
Yeah.
far.
But like, maybe he slips on something and fucks something up.
Yeah. And there's sort of something about his dejection which I think could have been greater explored because, yeah, like I said, Colby wasn't really in it enough towards the end, and I feel like that was another big letdown of the episode because Stephen Colbert's fucking amazing. Like, he had so many good line deliveries in this episode. Sort of little things here and there, tightening of screws. The reason why all the kids were at Krusty Burger, that could have been so much better.
Well, I can't even remember.
It was the petting zoo, the reptile petting zoo or something.
Because Otto got kicked out because he rode the tortoise naked.
Yeah.
And then the water fountain told him to do it.
Yeah.
Drugs are wacky, kids.
All right, we're here. BT, any other notes?
Indeed, I do. You forgot one musical moment, which is when they play Claire de Lune.
Yeah, what movie used that famously?
All of them.
Yeah, I know. I was trying to think. I'm like,
All
it's
of
not
the
Requiem,
movies.
is it? It's
No.
like...
And just the last note is I do like motivating Homer by like, Homer, you're going to land that plane because some guy said you couldn't. Oh,
Yeah.
he did? Well, I'll show him.
Yeah, that's the character really knowing Homer and what had motivated him.
And
It's
it
beautiful.
was set up previously. That's set up and payoff. Bitches, yeah.
Eddie, any other notes?
One weird thing was that when Homer was going to job interviews, he had to ask Bart for clean urine. And I want to know what drugs he's on because that's never established.
Well, I guess since the weed episode, he's kind of been partial to the occasional doobie. That's the right term,
maybe
right?
Mr. Burns shared a bit of that. What was the drug he got?
Laudanum.
Laudanum.
Laudanum, yeah.
Yeah, maybe he shared some on the plane.
That's true.
One thing I liked was when Homer was going to the new job, allegedly, and he was talking about getting cozy with the lunch truck guy, and Marge got super excited about a double date with the lunch truck guy's wife.
Yeah. Marge is cute.
Oh, poor optimistic Marge.
Yeah.
How about you, Jordan? Any other notes?
It felt kind of bad for Second City. They've produced a lot of good comedians that have gone on to SNL.
One of them being Dan Castellaneta.
Yeah. So I did like when they're like, okay, I think I heard Starbucks in Siberia. And you hear someone in the news go, oh, killer premise.
Yeah.
And then, when he's like, but that's what the coffee car said, because this is Starbucks. We're like, in Siberia.
Yeah.
Hey, don't cheer for them. We wrote it. But yeah, they also in that moment had Dan Castellaneta playing himself, which I thought was really clever.
Yeah, that's good.
The sign outside the show said, see great comedians before they get fat.
Bad, yeah. I like the line of Homer going, it went well, consistent with the way I told you previously.
Yeah.
No more questions.
Yeah.
I want to comment on my note here. We were talking about how he didn't actually wear the bowling shoes to the thing. What I was trying to write was that will come back to haunt him. But because I can't write very fast, so I've got to abbreviate, I just wrote comeback haunt. So do with that what you will.
It's not creepy if you don't want it to be.
And the last thing was another change that I'd make. It talks about his shoe attitude. Should have been attitude anyway. Jordan out.
Could he use the pun shoe in somewhere?
I don't know what to do with that.
Or me.
Actually, there was another playlist we missed. Walking down a street with various buildings fading
yes.
montage.
Oh, yeah, good one.
And there was just a weird random Ferris Bueller gag
Yeah.
where
Oh, yeah.
for half a second Homer and Burns were dressed up as Cameron and Ferris, respectively.
That's half of what Chicago is known for.
Yeah.
It's Ferris Bueller.
Hey,
and
welcome
his
to Chicago, Ferris.
day off.
Yeah.
All right, it's time to rank this thing. Eddy, your turn to go first.
I'm going to trigger everyone here and give it a bronze.
Bronze.
I'm so untriggered. That's what I thought you were going to do.
Yep.
I really thought you were going to say gold then. I was like, that will be
Cubic zirconia.
a controversial opinion. Yeah.
No, I had a good time with that episode. I think that there are things that could be improved, but overall I enjoyed watching it. I laughed a fair bit. Yeah, bronze.
Yeah, well, bronze is what I'm going as well. I'm going to say, it'll be a bronze on the spreadsheet, but anyone listening will know that I only just gave it a bronze. Like, it just felt it's like better than what normal participants are for me personally. And yeah, like I said, story wasn't my favorite, but a lot of the jokes landed for me. So yeah, giving it a bronze, BT.
I'm on a similar spectrum, but I'm just below it, so I'm going to give it like a high participant because, I mean, the plot actually worked, but I didn't really get any good laughs out of this one. So yeah, participant from me. Thank you.
And Jordan.
Yeah, I'm on the fence. I'm between you two.
It's a cozy place to be.
You two, the band?
I do know the edge.
You live on the edge.
An edgelord, if you will.
Oof. Oof is all I will say to that. I think I'll give it a participant. I was like, there are some parts I like, but for the most part, it kind of still left me unsatisfied. There was still probably more bad than good, in my opinion. So, yeah, participant. On a better day, maybe bronze, but participant today.
All right, well, averaging out 2 bronzes, 2 participants on the Simpsons Index, we average up because we're nice. This will be a dull bronze. It'll be the first dull bronze from season 19 to join the dull bronze
Oh, they've
list.
all been silvers and golds and above?
Naturally, it's season 19. How could you go wrong?
Yes, of course. But some other dull bronzes have been season 1's Homer's Odyssey. That's where Homer goes to kill himself, and then that's the episode where he actually becomes the safety inspector. Large Marge, where Marge gets breast implants.
Yeah.
That was an uncomfortable episode. Jazzy and the Pussycats, where Bart becomes a jazz drummer.
Groovy.
Fucking Shag giving that a participant. I think it was a bronze easy.
Yeah. Fuck that guy.
Yeah,
Danny.
that guy.
I know you're listening.
Love you, Danny. Love you.
Sky Police, where
Oh, God, yes. I love that episode.
where for like 5 minutes, Police Wiggum gets a jetpack and kills a bunch of people.
Police Wiggum. I like it, yeah.
Did I say Police Wiggum?
Said Police Wiggum.
Yeah. These are things that happened.
But that's not what the episode's actually about. It's actually about Marge running a blackjack hustle.
I'll kill you all, I'm Sky Police. Verbatim from the episode.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a fucking weird trip, man.
He sings it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He blends a couple of people to
Yeah.
death by accident, but he's still like.
And then, but he doesn't do it on purpose afterwards. He's like, this is a good way of eliminating ruffians.
He needs a body cam.
Yeah, for real. And also a favorite weird episode of mine, Dark Knight Court, where Burns becomes Fruit Batman.
I have to watch that.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Isn't that, it's just a B story, right?
Yeah, that's the problem with it. The A story,
It's
which
crap.
takes up majority of the episode, is like a failure, but the Burns' Fruit Batman is like cubic zirconia. Fucking.
I don't know if it's cute, but it's very endearing.
Because it's also playing on the tropes of like the 60s Batman, but it's also because Mr. Burns is so inept that Smithers is actually setting up very solvable crimes for him to. Yeah, it's quite funny. All right, and before we move on, is that reputation justified?
Beer.
Robert Canning of IGN.
Robert the Feather Touch Canning.
A+.
5 out of 10.
Wow.
Wow.
Which, for IGN scale, is 1 out of 10.
Yeah, that's like they gave the Holocaust a 5 out of 10. That's how, wow.
Crimes of
Wow.
Grindelwald got an 8 from then. I just want to make that clear.
Wow.
He says, even a mediocre episode will have a few comic gems hidden inside. The time spent in Chicago is quite enjoyable. Even a great Ferris Bueller sight gag, and life coach Colby delivers a zinger of a line comparing Homer's attitude to that of the United States of America.
That's all positives. And then he gives it a... God damn it.
I'm cutting down the review to just something digestible.
He's just wrong, though. All he talks about is the Chicago bit. That was the worst part of that episode.
Also, great sight gag. It lasted 1 second.
Yeah.
But yeah, it sort of seems at odds with his like 5 out of 10, which is fucking low for
Robert Canning of IGN. That's low.
for Robert Canning and of IGN.
We've nicknamed him the Feather Touch, for God's sakes.
Feather Touch was not pulling any feathery punches today. All right, now it's time we move on to the classic episode. Eddy, we've put you through the hurdles now. Now it's time to get all nostalgic and warm and such, and we're going to Season 2's Old Money. Just from the title alone, do you know what this episode might be?
I'm going to take a stab in the dark and say that Homer's related to Mr. Burns, and he gets money that is old.
It's the oldest dollar bill in existence, still in circulation.
All right.
Sorry. Is that actually it?
No.
No.
All right. We'll be back with our
made-up crap.
classic review in just a moment. And we are back, and we just watched our classic and final episode for today. This was Season 2, Episode 17, Old Money. First released in March of 1991, it was directed by David Silverman, written by Jake Hogan and Wallace Wolodarski. In this episode, you should all know this one. This is where Grandpa gets a girlfriend named B, and woo indeed. And the Simpsons take him off for a discount line safari, and during that time, B passes away. What?
Aww.
And then Grandpa inherits all of B's fortune. Hey, what do we think?
Man, smashing.
Good.
I have many notes.
I actually don't have many,
Really?
surprisingly.
Really?
I think also because, again, like a lot of Simpsons is nostalgic, but I didn't have a lot of history with season 1 and 2,
Okay.
just because I never had the tapes of it or the DVDs or anything. So this one is almost like a recap because it's like I've forgotten everything about this episode.
Well, this for me, this was from my birth year, so I
Oh, wow.
would never have
Okay.
watched it from when it was actually out.
From 1991.
Yeah.
You
Wow.
did not watch it in the womb?
No.
And you call
Weird.
yourself a fan.
Well, yeah, this is like a classic old one. We were saying before, you know, it's got that really warm, high contrast color palette
Yeah.
of old school Simpsons. Yeah. Brought me back to a nice warmer time.
Yep, simpler time, the mid-90s.
Cold today. So let's hook into the questionnaire, starting with you this time, Jordan. For better or worse, what something stands out to you from this episode?
Doesn't necessarily stand out for this episode specifically, but it's more about season 2. There's like an air of season 2 that other Simpsons doesn't replicate as much. There's a lot more heart than necessarily jokes.
Yeah, when they're still figuring out if they're a comedy show or just a family show or what
exactly.
they are.
Like season 2 has like Brush with Greatness and The Way We Was and like those kind of things where it's like it's very heart-filled. And that's what really stood out is from, I guess, like season 3 and 4, it was like gold comedy writing with elements of heart as well. And then the good episodes is where they could blend it. But this is a really kind of heartfelt episode from Abe missing, you know, his love's last day essentially to like him trying to figure out what he does to him, you know, eventually deciding like he wants to help people and then help like the people that he has to hang out with and make life better for people. It's all really sweet and nice and adorable. And I like that a lot.
Yeah, it's almost like this episode exists as an opportunity to flesh out Grandpa's character a
Yeah.
bit.
Exactly.
Which I don't know if he had an opportunity to do that before, but he's certainly pulling focus for this episode, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
How about you, Eddie? What's something that stands out to you for better or worse?
I'm going to say 3 things.
Yeah?
Nope.
Immediately were Grandpa's weird HD hands
Yes.
at one point.
Yeah.
They really pulled focus in on them at the end.
Yeah.
Also because, I mean, you could see all the wrinkles and everything, but also the fact that there were only 3 fingers, it just really gave me like an alien claw vibe. I know that they only have like 4 all up, but still just seeing that right in camera
Yeah.
close up was very off-putting.
I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah.
The second one, kind of aligned with Jordan's point, it really felt like a moral story. Much more so than the other ones, and I kind of like that because it had purpose and meaning that was well rounded out at the end. And thirdly was that I don't know if you planned this, but we started with an episode of Homer versus Abe and ended with an episode of Abe versus Homer.
Yeah.
It's like
Curious,
someone plots
curious.
this.
Yeah. But yeah, essentially bookended this with a little bit of an Abe story.
Yeah.
Tracked that character's progression. And how about you, BT? What's something stands out to you for better or worse?
Man, just classic Simpsons era writing is how fluid and well they tell a story. Because the first act of this is all the way up to B's death. Any other Simpsons era would have let that to maybe even third act. But we're to the point so quickly and so fluidly. It doesn't feel rushed at all. What I really like from that is Abe and B are dancing to Embraceable You. We then go to like a montage of just a couple of quick scenes, and then we go back to them playing on the piano, and that tells you time has passed. So you get the idea they've established a relationship through that. And then to reinforce that, we know that from dialogue, the Simpsons take Abe out the 3rd Sunday of every month. So then when he's worrying about B's birthday and Homer shows up, you know it's at least been a month. And it's such a simple way to reinforce the idea of transition of time and to do it so fluidly and so quickly and efficiently So we can get on with the rest of the episode is brilliant. I love that. That's like, I just wrote down, that's how it's done, motherfuckers.
Yeah, all they need to do is just go to their back catalogue to get a reminder of how to write. It was always there.
It's just so seamless.
The screenwriting was within you all along.
wasn't
Except
the
it's not,
shoes.
because they all quit after, season 8 or 12 or whatever. But hey,
Yeah.
And also just the number of jokes that flew over my head as a kid.
Oh my
man.
God.
Yes.
There's a rub down.
And there's a rub down. I was like, what? And even the follow-up line of that was like, don't you know old people deserve to be respected? Like, well, yes, I think of that, but it passes.
Yeah. It was amazing. And I'm going to say, what stood out to me is Herman's little appearance in this episode. I like that Grandpa goes, well, you're the only shop I know. So,
Yeah.
so why don't you try Grandma's world? But yeah, also like Herman running his little scams as well,
Yeah.
selling
Yeah.
that as Napoleon's hat. Oh, it's a hat he wore briefly for 1 week in
Yeah.
April. And
At least he knows his history.
Yeah,
He's like, before
1790.
the Battle of whatever it was.
Yeah, right at the beginning of the Napoleonic Wars.
Yeah, because it is Abe that introduces Bart to Herman in Bart the General, isn't it?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it's canon. They do have a relationship for whatever reason, but yeah.
yeah.
There's a lot of weird, interesting little bits of canon. For instance, Lisa says she'd call her pony Princess, and when she gets a pony, she calls it Princess.
Yeah.
And a bit of retcon where Abe says he's a widower.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is the story that he goes with.
Yeah, I'd imagine it could still be work in the sense that that's just easy to explain.
She's dead to me,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is effectively.
As good as dead.
Yeah.
Because, in the Mona Simpson episode, the first one, Homer goes, you told me she was dead. Like,
Oh, yeah, that's right. It does too.
yeah.
My apologies.
You
Well
know what,
done, Simpsons.
It's always been pretty ambiguous, I think, until the later seasons. I remember them touching on where Springfield actually is.
Yeah.
But in this one, they go to both a dense jungle and a tropical beach.
Yep.
Yeah. I was wondering where they went on holiday. Did they just take a trip to Hawaii, maybe? Maybe she paid. She's rich, but
Ah, true.
I was going, where are they?
Springfield is both everywhere and nowhere.
It's a place within us all.
Maybe it is actually hell. Maybe that's the whole...
Maybe they're all just in the Monroe box.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
yeah.
It's all just
And
an
they're
illusion.
just disassociating. Yeah.
Oh, that Monroe box.
That's horrifying, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
I just love the whole point of it is like, well, I believe the child will be socially maladjusted and harbor a deep resentment towards me.
Yeah.
You know how he started off when Marge got him to call the line? He's like, Dr. Monroe's anxiety line.
Yeah.
His
Yeah.
voice gives me anxiety.
Yeah. Well,
Although, like,
especially when he's giving the option and he goes, if you're a teen struggling with anxiety, press 1 now.
what I like is, again, another dirty joke I missed was right at the end. So if you have trouble maintaining it,
Oh.
it's like, oh, I get what that means now.
Interesting.
Right before the phone gets hung up.
Play count. How many times before today have you seen this episode?
I'm going to say it's probably either 1 or 2, to be honest.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You've
it's
seen season 2 that little.
that little, exactly. Yeah. I don't know. I guess maybe I just wasn't watching The Simpsons on TV when it was kind of mainly getting syndicated.
Yeah, right.
Or whether it's just, I haven't gone back and revisited a lot of season 2 and season 1. Yeah, I don't know.
Eddie?
Honestly, I think once.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Man, I'd say like, I don't know, 10, 15, 20. Like, it was from reasonably high syndication on back in the day, so
Yeah.
a bunch.
Absolutely.
Which makes it even more stunning that I'm mining new things out of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because this is just one of the syndication ones, which, I saw a lot. So, maybe in excess of 40. Season 2 is not one that I actually went back to the DVDs that much when I got them, but chuck them on for, revisit the old episodes and, I'm getting something new out of it this time.
Yep.
That dirty joke that flew over my head. Yeah. So, how about wackiness? Was this a particularly cartoony episode of The Simpsons?
Not hugely. Some of the things that people want to do with the money is
Yeah.
wacky, but it's not impossible wacky, just weird wacky. Like, to be honest, the death ray only has evil
Yeah,
applications.
as well. So good.
My wife would be so happy I'm giving up this death ray thing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Can we... So, with that, bits of, random lore,
Yeah.
Frink has a wife?
Oh, yeah, he's got a son as well.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
he had a son, potentially.
Yep. Until he died in that
horrific toy
remote
plane.
control toy plane.
Yeah.
Do you remember
Incident.
that at all? Frink's at a invention convention. That was fun. And he puts his son in a remote control plane and then he flies him out a window and he goes, "Oh, my wife is going to kill me."
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And then ever since then, he's been single.
yeah. So yeah, there's this mini dark subplot that's never been explored of Frink's wife and dead son.
Yeah.
There was a lot of kind of wacky stuff like the mystery spot, which is just a dumb mud puddle.
I love it just in passing. They don't focus on that
But
at all.
that
It's just,
is what every roadside attraction is in America.
ooh, it's mysterious.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, all the stuff that they list that they could go to, the Museum of Barnyard Oddities.
They exist. I've been to one.
No, gross, Bart. Gross, yeah. I liked when they're on the beach, that turtle was just like gliding across that sand like it was ice. I liked that.
Oh, yeah. In weird animation moments, too. There was a part when they were going to the casino and they're on the bus, and Otto says, everyone starts singing, and they all start singing, but no one's lips move.
Yeah, they can't afford that. Although I do like in a musical moment, he's pretty sure he's doing to Aqualung.
Yeah. I wrote down Aqualung and Edgar Winter's Frankenstein.
I like how, they're just trying to go along with it, but it's clear that they don't know what the song is, but they're just like afraid that he's actually seriously going to drive them into a river.
Actually, that's weird because, old people would love that song. It's about park benches.
Sitting on a park bench, feeding all the pigeons. Isn't it a nice day?
There's a picture in Abe's room at one point towards the start where I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be like a portrait of Bart, but it's weirdly old Bart. It's like teenage to young adult Bart.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh, there's a few actually like weird off-color moments, like when everyone's lining up, like Mayor Quimby's hair's all weird and fucking...
Was it Lenny as
The
Joker? Yeah.
Yeah.
As Jack
Maybe.
Nicholson's Joker.
There's two moments that this exact same thing happens. So one is when Abe's getting ready to go meet Beatrice. He puts on a red jacket, but in the mirror it's pink.
Oh.
And also when he's at the store looking
the
at the
fez,
hat,
yeah.
it's red in the glass, but pink in real life.
I assumed that it was like, those lights that they have at Woolies that they banned or whatever to make the meat look more like juicy and red.
Oh, what?
It's like
No.
pink. They used to have like pink lights essentially. So the meat would look red and pink and delicious. And then when we took it out, it was kind of grey and gross.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what Herman has.
And also, there was a part where Abe says to Beatrice that she has the bluest eyes ever, but they're just black dots.
It is a bit weird when that happens.
I will say on Beatrice's eyes as well, they do like a slight little effective thing to make her look a little bit out of the normal Simpsons world, where they just put a tiny little curved line underneath her eyes to sort of kind of makes her cheeks look a bit puffier and higher. And Oh, and on Beatrice as well, she was played by Audrey Meadows. Does this name ring any bells?
Audrey Meadows.
Not at the moment.
She certainly does. No.
No. She played Alice in The Honeymooners. So, yeah.
Straight to the moon.
Yep. Damn
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
When you said Alice, I'm like, the Brady Bunch. Oh, from the Honeymooners.
That was Ann B.
Cool.
Davis.
Right.
But
The other one.
That could have been a good B.
Yeah. Yeah, true. So, Audrey Meadows, she'd like mostly been out of acting consistently for like the last 30 or something years up until this point. And then, unfortunately, she died a few years later in 1996.
Have a broken heart.
That's what they say.
Wow.
But it might have also been her left ventricle. So, I thought she delivered a nice performance. And, she'd like mostly been like a bank manager up until this point as well.
Cool.
Yeah. What do we think of Audrey's performance anyway?
Very sweet.
Yeah.
She's got a nice, like, old lady voice.
Yeah.
I like the scene when they're on the roller coaster, and that's all very nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
there's some cartoon wackiness.
Yeah, like ghosts. They
Yeah.
exist.
Oh, yeah, true.
Yeah.
Oh, stop it, Abe. They've got me haunting a family in Texas.
I do like that. As though the afterlife is organized, and they just put ghosts where they need them.
Yeah.
That's where they got the idea for The Conjuring. Old lady ghosts.
Yep.
I thought there was a good thing that I think is lacking in some of the newer stuff is attention to detail and calling back on things that they've established. So I noticed something that I was going to talk about in Cartoony was that the nursing home was super dystopian.
Yeah.
There was stuff peeling off the walls and it was really gross.
Yeah.
And the reason for that was so that he
Yeah,
could
at the
flash
very
it
end.
up at the end.
Yeah, I did write down, like, they put it in pretty much any time Abe's in the retirement home. The roof is leaking or they're shooting pool and it's falling through the holes and it's letting you know this is a dilapidated place. And then that pays off. It's really well done.
It reminded me of the bleachers I was talking about in the first episode because, why did they do that? There was no purpose, but here there was a purpose for it.
Yeah, everything is so purposeful like that. Yeah, you're right. And especially it is that much more satisfying at the end when he does up the retirement castle. And they've also kind of misdirected you to thinking that they're not going to do that because of the sleazy manager at the start, offering him a rub down.
Is he offering?
I mean,
That's not established,
not
right?
a lot of people work there.
No, so
There was the pill lady.
Oh my God, the pill scene. Jesus.
The seductive pill scene after the pill meet cute.
All right, so Audrey, what we're going to get you to do now is just make some sounds like you're seductively chewing and swallowing your pills.
We've done audio recording. You know that's pretty much exactly what we do.
that moaning sounds that they were doing just so off-putting. If that had been two sexy young actors, still the same thing. Really weird and off-putting to moan at that.
I mean, just you forget it's a cartoon for a moment when she empties the capsule onto her tongue like,
So bitter.
Yeah.
So disgusting.
So let's talk about the heart of this episode. Did you guys feel the bumps?
Yes.
Yeah, Homer's relationship with Abe, and that's beautiful. And that scene where he's just crying on the couch and it zooms in from kind of a top-down view and it's lit all very dramatically.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
He's
And
sitting in the dark.
Getting in the dark. Yeah, that was like, it's like he wants to have a close relationship with his father,
And
as
he-
opposed to all the other ones.
Yeah.
And even if they didn't, they'd establish that, he may not like hanging out with Grandpa, but he doesn't want to be, removed from him entirely.
Yeah, and when he says, I miss my dad, like, it's very
Yeah,
sad.
the delivery is really sad
Yeah.
on that. And, I really like when he goes to save Grandpa from all the gambling, and there's that speech Abe gives, and then, from Rudyard Kipling quoting the poem If, and then at the end he's like, you'll be a man, my son. You'll be a bonehead.
Yeah.
It's a great turnaround on that sentimental moment.
Yeah.
And Lisa in this was what I knew her as in the early days, where she's an object of grounding people in love and heart.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Just being able to sort of go, I don't deserve it. No one here does. But if you wanted to, you
Yeah, no, I do like that bit of
She's
thing, 'cause
still 8.
She's still 8 and still, if you wanted to.
I mean, she's still going to, shoot her shot. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, wouldn't you? I mean, if someone's like, maybe I'm his favorite, and maybe he'll just do it. Doesn't need to spend all the money on me, but, a little bit.
like 10K.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
And then an
that'll do it.
ongoing 1K every month
Yeah.
for every month until you die.
Yeah.
Here's a question for the knowledgeable amongst you. Do they ever call back to the Beatrice Simmons dining hall?
Oh, good
When they
point.
go
I
to their
mean,
time
it's
home.
always that layout from that point on. Like, there's several round tables and stuff, but I don't know if they ever focus on the specific sign or not. It's one for Elliot, I guess.
Well, the retirement castle has consistently been pictured as a dilapidated, horrible place to live. So, yeah, I think in retrospect, they do, retcon a lot of...
Well, they spruced it up once, but in the intervening years, it went back to crap.
Yeah. But yeah, they don't really have recliners and the big screen TV playing weird off-color Richie and Scratchy, and they do still have the staring window.
They don't really have the pool table, I don't think, anymore as well.
No, that's in the games room. They're not allowed in there.
Yeah.
But just on hard as well, Grandpa's little montage with sad walk through the dour streets and all that. I thought there was some really nice coloring on that, and there was a reference to something. I can't fucking pick what it is.
Night Owls. The painting of Night
Painting,
Owls.
yeah.
With
The Norman Rockwell one?
Yeah, the diner on the street corner.
Oh, Boulevard of Broken Dreams, is it?
No, I literally just said it twice. It's Night Owls.
Oh, okay.
You're thinking of the Green Day song.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
the James Dean poster.
Editing by Elliot Jay here to say that it's actually Nighthawks and it's by the artist Edward Hopper, so no.
There was a bit as well. There was a reference. Oh, what was it? Damn it. The Mr. Simpson, I presume.
Yeah,
that was cool.
Dr. Livingston, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got that one. I heard you laugh. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was one part when Homer was having a go about his girlfriend being imaginary and all that sort of stuff. When I realized that Simpsons did the all your friends joke before anyone else did it, I think.
Yeah.
Look at all your friends. It's an empty room.
Yeah.
There's plenty of room for all your friends. What a joke.
I know. The first bit where he's like, oh, sure, hi, nice to meet you, talking to the empty chair. It's like, oh, you son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Wow.
Cute.
So Clint Eastwood ripped him off.
Yeah, exactly. Old man, here's
Yeah.
a chair.
Yeah. But yeah, all that sort of really helped sell the funeral scene as well. And this is a lot of dynamics of heart here. We have relationship heart, son and father heart, and then the betrayal heart.
And the
Oh
great
my
little
God.
moment of, I know she cared for me, she didn't make me a pallbearer.
Yeah.
But also, cartoony moment. How are those old people carrying that?
Cartoony moment, how does his grandpa rip his own coat? But I have no son!
The heart patch as well.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So ultimately, though, guys, did this feel like an episode of The Simpsons?
Yeah, it felt like the early seasons where they're still figuring out, are we just a joke factory or are we going to tell, compelling stories? And this is more compelling stories.
Homer isn't a butthead yet, so he's still kind of
This
got
is Generation
semblance
1
of
Homer.
humanity. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, criticizing him for being a jerk, but he certainly had a redemption in this episode.
Yeah. This was late in the season, you said, wasn't it? Like 19 or something?
17, yes.
Okay. Right.
So, yeah.
It definitely felt like they were still fleshing out a couple of characters, but like you can tell that those traits have persisted.
Yeah.
They're establishing canon and it sticks and it fits. Yeah.
And what you were saying before about Lisa is so true, Eddie. And I think as well with Bart, like when he's like requesting all that stuff from Grandpa, I found that moment really cute.
Yeah.
Where even Grandpa's just sort of tolerating it. It's like, oh, and the baseball cut where the guy's flipping the bird. Oh, I've seen that.
I felt like that scene, it didn't sound scripted. The voice acting in it was most like real life than anything else in the episode. Like everything else kind of felt like this is a script and people are following it and trying to make it emotional and everything else. But that really felt like an old guy just listening to his son list off a bunch of like Christmas gifts and like talking to himself while he did it. Yeah.
No, absolutely.
One character moment I didn't think was on point was when Abe first got the money and Lionel Hutz came up and gave him the check.
Yeah.
I wish that they would have made the money actually like $300,000 and Lionel Hutz said, and after my fee, that's $100,000.
Yeah. Bring it back to that episode where, what is it, Selma's and Patty's aunt dies, and she's got the video will, and it's just Lionel Hutz doing a bad dubbing. And I leave my lawyer 100,000 times. Mr. Hutz, you'd be surprised how often that works.
Yeah, see, they could have done that.
I was going to ask on that, is this the first spend a night in the haunted house joke in The Simpsons?
Spend a night in the haunted house playlist.
Because they've done that a few times now.
And
like
they've
for
actually
real.
been in haunted
Yeah,
houses.
exactly.
Yeah, I'm still trying to find out how to do that in my will because I really want it.
You could do that, surely.
I mean, there's not a lot of haunted houses around. It's difficult. Like the best we got is like, the quarantine center, but
What's the...
it's a tourist trap now.
Paramedic Gal? Where's the...
Oh, yeah.
Hey, what about where they filmed the tunnel?
Oh, yeah, that place is creepy as.
That was that one that was like it was set in like the tunnels below the opera house or something like that.
But you can go down there now. They've actually opened up because it's a water reservoir, so you can go down and do tours down there.
That's cool.
Because I went to a really shitty ghost tour once in Jenolan Caves, and no one has died there.
Oh.
So they were like, and in this cave, people sometimes think they see a little girl in a white dress. Okay, did she die here? No. It's like, what is this ghost tour?
I've heard as well that like Wynyard Station has a bunch of like unused or disused like platforms as well.
Okay,
and apparently I think that's where like New South Wales Police have like a gun range in one of them or something. Or
they open them up occasionally. So it was a couple weeks ago that they had one of those tours
that's
as
cool.
well.
That'd be cool as well.
Wow. Oh, yeah, and Lionel Hutz is fucking... It's a pen that looks like a cigar. Isn't that something?
The Simpsons did it first. That looked like a vape.
Oh, really?
Looked like
It
a
did.
vape. Yeah.
It did.
Looked like an e-cigarette from way back.
But yeah, Lionel Hutz has always had like his information on things that are other things, like that card that was also a sponge.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the smoking monkey.
Yeah.
Just taking another puff.
So yeah, the other guest star of the episode, Lionel Hutz, who is actually named Phil Hartman.
There you got that.
He 2 bites of the cherry.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, he played Lionel Hutz, of course, and he also played Plato.
Well, the actor playing Plato.
Yeah. His philosophy is enjoy.
Was that his Troy McClure voice though? Is it a down and out Troy McClure?
It sounded just a little bit bassier.
Yeah. Well, I wondered if he was acting.
Just a washed up Troy McClure.
Yeah. Yes or no, would you watch this one again?
Yes.
Not for a while.
$100,000, yes.
But yeah, I'd watch this again. We'd watch it again. We'd put it in a playlist. What playlist would this go in?
Lionel Hutz business cards, obviously.
Mm-hmm. And Haunted House. We mentioned those. Yep.
Grandpa in Love.
Yes.
Disneyland references. There's 2 in this one.
Oh, yeah.
First of all, Disneyland, spelled Diznee.
Yeah.
It's like not affiliated with Disneyland, Walt Disney or anything about the Walt Disney Corporation. And then 2, when they're queuing up, trying to get Abe's money, and then Kent is lining up as well. He goes past a sign that says 90-minute wait from this point.
Oh, yeah.
Which I thought, that's cute as well.
Very Disneyland. Yep. There was a good Kent Brockman in this as well. I'd put this in a Kent Brockman playlist. Not since my marriage to Stephanie the Weather Girl has this town been interested in rumors and innuendo.
Very good.
Wrote down also Larry Davis Experience playlist.
Oh, yeah. They come back.
Yeah, the cover band that are in a handful of episodes.
Who is Larry Davis?
I don't know, actually.
Oh, yeah, just good references. I like the pomade that he's getting is called Little Lindy's pomade. And it's got a plane on it, which is a reference to like Charles Lindbergh doing a solo flight.
Ah.
And it says, "You'll never play solo again."
It's weird that he reads out the quote.
Yeah.
Wrongly sized Simpsons household room episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That lounge was big.
Yeah, they're still figuring out the geography of the house, that's for sure. Jordan, what would you like to change about this episode?
That's a hard one. Look, if I was going to change anything, I don't want to take away from the message, I guess, of the episode. But, like, it wouldn't hurt to have a few more jokes because it was a very serious episode. Like, it wasn't to say that it wasn't funny, but that wasn't the point.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you inject more humor without taking away from that. Far be it from me to assume that I could write a better Season 2 Simpsons episode. Yeah, a couple extra jokes wouldn't hurt. That's all.
How about you, Eddie? What would you like to change?
I'm on the same line. I don't think you can change much of it because it is a classic. It's got a good story. It's solid. But one thing I would have liked to explore more is when Grandpa was looking to take ideas from people.
Yeah.
Mo started going on about an adventure to find treasure, and I would have liked to
Maybe it's
explore
directions
that.
to some guy's house.
I would have liked to have done Abe and Mo treasure hunt.
Yeah.
There's an odd pairing, yeah.
Or just like have them out at the front of this like old shack milling. Well,
Yeah.
I guess we're done.
And I do love how it's like, 3 suggestions. That's pretty stupid, but you're the front runner.
Like, really? Okay.
How about you, BT? What would you like to change?
When in the middle of the discount line safari and Abe's not having a good time, he's like, wow, what a wingding. I would like to bring back the term wingding. But like shindig, I assume, is its closest
I
Yeah,
assumed
'cause
it was like that old comic about Joker's boner.
Yep.
Although that's what, actually in the first episode, that's what the demolition car guy named Homer's car. It was Homer's boner.
Oh, yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
Laugh at my boner, will they?
Ha!
Anyway.
Language in its ever-changing forms.
But yeah, wingding got appropriated by Microsoft Word. And
And yeah, ever since then, let's bring it back.
yeah.
There's been quite a wingding of a day.
I still don't think I understand what Wingdings is for.
It was to have basic clip art.
Was it?
Within
No. But
text.
I think I've read a Wikipedia article about it, but I've since forgotten because it was so forgettable. I'm sure there was like a
Wait.
reason
You're not fluent?
in Wingdings.
Windmill, letterbox.
Bird.
Bird.
Oh, filing cabinet.
Oh, God. Remember around 9/11, people were like,
Yeah.
Wingdings predicted 9/11. You're like,
Yeah.
shut the fuck up.
It was so dumb because, the one they were using was like for a Qantas flight number, and there was no way it was a Qantas plane
Yeah.
Yeah.
involved.
Well, even then, it's like, okay, we're the head of the Illuminati. Now, let's hide our plans in wingdings.
In another language's fucking obscure clip art font.
And they see that Simpsons episode and you go, we could do that.
What I'd change, this is another one where I'd feel totally underqualified to improve this. I kind of agree with, the point that it could use a few more jokes. Yeah. I just love how this episode rolls out. You kind of feel as an audience member, oh, B's gone already? Like, what of this tragic love story? But that's kind of the point.
Yeah.
I think the only time this episode lags for me is in the casino scene, and there's a little bit of a disconnect with Grandpa Fig and Homer reconciling, and then Homer trying to chase him down and say, I got to tell him I don't care about his money because, it wasn't really the point then. But again, I don't really feel qualified enough
Yeah,
to know
I think
how
it's
to
worth
fix
the joke of, where's Abe Simpson? I got to tell him I love him and I don't care about his money. Yeah, we get that a lot.
Or just the bit where, he's breaking off from the speedy chase and pull into a crossing blow. Give me a double cheeseburger to the onion rings and the strawberry milkshake. Goddamn hurry.
Horrible. I like how it just cuts at that point. That's great. That's good cut.
All right, we are here. BT, do you have any other notes?
All right, so right at the end, when Grandpa's letting everyone into the B Memorial Dining Hall, there is a character model that walks in that looks exactly like B. And I've always wondered, is this them just being lazy and saving money and not getting an extra character model? Or is this them, suggesting that, hey, B's still there in spirit? I have brought it up on Frankiac if you're curious. This is B, and this is the lookalike down the bottom right. We will post this on Instagram. I mean, it's not exact.
Yeah, but it's similar. Yeah, it's nice.
It's quite similar. Like,
Yeah.
you'd think you would avoid putting anyone who looked similar in that scene for her absence, but I've always wondered, is that meant to be her in spirit?
Well, I mean, it's definitely not as egregious as that White Christmas Blues incident where there were two Moes in the crowd, and it's very distinctly two Moes.
It's Mo Sislak and So Mislak.
Was that all you noted? Sorry?
Yeah, that was it.
Anything else, Eddie?
I loved at the start when it opened with they went to the liquor store. The trip was to the liquor store for Abe, and all he got out of it was one piece of beef jerky.
He didn't even get booze.
Yeah.
Throws it into a drawer full of
Full
beef
of beef jerky.
That was a
So
great
I've gone to
gag.
the liquor store a lot.
And that looked like terrible jerky. It looked like
Yeah.
a
It
tree
looked like
bark.
Yeah.
Licorice.
Yeah, and I love that it was a reoccurring bit when he was looking for his pomade as well. It's like, nope, that's the beef jerky drawer.
How do I forget that's the beef jerky drawer?
And how about you, Jordan?
If you can find a cheaper lion, you must be in Africa.
Yeah, there were some good sign gag jokes in this one. Yeah.
Always are.
I liked that there was no like cheap joke about the funeral because they've had funerals in other episodes, and it's always a chance for Homer to
Marge,
bumble
change
about
the channel.
Yeah, or grimy as he liked to be known, or whatever. It's kind of a funny funeral.
Get your hot dogs here.
Yeah.
It was genuinely a solemn moment.
This one was like it was actually sad, which also because like I'm thinking about Grandpa's sexual history.
Oh dear.
Ew.
This is like B is probably his one true love. I think he was with Mona, but I don't know if they were ever like super happy and like in love and everything. Like he was a grizzled war vet, I guess, at that time, and he wasn't like super happy. And he's had, that relationship with like the,
Mrs. Bouvier.
Yeah, exactly. And so this is like the one where it's like he shows the most heart and it feels like he's actually in love, and this would be a real big kick in the
It was
heart for
torn
him.
from him after only a month.
Yeah. Lastly, I just want to know what Plato would think about his image being used to promote gambling. I don't know if it would be positive, but he's dead for thousands of years.
For a very
So
long time.
too bad, Plato.
He'd really have to think on it, wouldn't he?
Ooh.
Oh,
I do know some smart things.
I want to know if he looked at a jar of Play-Doh, would he be like, ha, nice.
I wonder if they did mean that.
I know.
But it's funny because they explored that in the How to Get Ahead in Advertising, like Treehouse of Horror segment
yeah.
that was like such a disappointment.
Yeah, I mean, that was a whole bunch of crap, wasn't it?
All right, it's time for my final notes. Active wear, can I get a price on a wool shawl? So good.
And activewear as well.
Yeah.
That's old people activewear going outside.
Yeah, yeah. In shawls.
Yeah, the lion's just destroying the car and eating the deer carcass.
funny.
Zebra carcass,
Yeah.
rather. A stripy deer, as I like to call them. Yeah.
Old stripy deer.
One having a staring contest with Bart. And
They don't really know how to draw lions.
Yeah.
You know what lions look like, right? They don't like stretched out like the paddle pop lion. Like, what are you doing? Anyway, doesn't matter.
yeah. On the roller coaster with Ghost B, Grandpa calls Homer the big fat dickin', and for a split second I thought, I missed the big fat dickhead.
Yeah. Also, I mean, he must have that hat pinned onto his scalp.
It's the,
What is the top of his head?
That's got to be hair.
Is it
Yeah,
though?
but it's the same color as skin.
He slicks like his presumably hair.
Is it like that old people who used pomade would have like their hair would be like Ripley? Is it that?
Yeah.
And that's why it's like
Just locked in.
yeah.
Now he can afford to buy more pomade, so it's
Yeah,
probably stuck
true.
in.
But it is a weird thing to think about, like the real world equivalent, that if someone's hair color was so similar to their skin tone that you couldn't really tell where one started and the other
Don't
ended.
overthink it. We've seen The Simpsons overthink it. It's not been comfortable.
Yeah. Is there still room at that table for an old idiot or whatever? Oh, we'll have to move a chair in from the den, but sure.
Bart.
Yep. It's time to rank this thing. BT, you're first.
Man, this is a tough one. It is iconic as hell. It's really well paced, but it's just not as funny. I was very tempted by Cubic Zirconia, but I don't think I can go that high because it's just not quite as fun and not quite as essential to the Simpsons experience. However, it is a really great episode, very heartfelt, very well paced and plotted and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to go with a gold.
Solid gold. And Jordan.
Watching this episode makes me wonder how much value I place in nostalgia and everything else and repeated viewing and everything, because I watched it and I'm like, it's really nice, but it's nowhere near my favorite episode of The Simpsons. So my initial gut reaction was silver, but I'm like, is that harsh? Is that just because I haven't watched it as much as like a season 3 episode? But I think I have to stick with it. I think I have to give it a silver because I would watch it again, but I wouldn't like watch it over and over like I can with cubics and golds.
Sure. Eddie?
I like the story. I think it was well paced out. It was missing a lot of jokes, and I don't think it was as punchy as what I like Simpsons to be, and I don't feel like they found their footing yet, being at season 2, so I'm going with silver.
All right. Once again, we've got a split down the middle ranking. I'm going gold with this one. Again, just on gold. This is one of those ones where I'm giving it a little bit more because, like, even though as a kid, I probably wouldn't have revisited this one that much, or if it came on, it's like, oh, it's a fucking Grandpa B episode again. Yeah, this one, like, it ages nicely. Good wine, you know. And I got a lot more out of it than I certainly did in previous viewings. Definitely not up in cubic. Like, I was definitely on the silver border, and yeah, I agree with you guys in your ranking, but I'm agreeing with Beach, apparently. All right, so that
Beach wins.
He does. So that will equal a dull gold. This will be the second episode from season 2 to get dull gold, the other one being Homer versus Lisa and the Eighth Commandment, where they get the illegal
cable TV.
illegal cable hookup. Some other classic dull golds, Mountain of Madness, which was a weird one because that was a cubic silver.
Yeah, still controversial.
Yeah.
Yeah, Beach, you and Danny fucking silvered it, and I cubicked it, and I still
I remember.
think you're wrong.
I'm willing to revisit it.
That's the beauty of the shared voting system. That's how you get Tom Gleason winning the Gold Logie.
So other dull golds, Selma's Choice, which we mentioned before, Great Aunt Gladys, that was her name, dies and they go to Duff Gardens and all that. Krusty gets cancelled. And also season 1's There's No Disgrace Like Home, which is another Dr. Marvin Monroe episode where he puts a baby in a chair where she can get electrocuted.
He's a twisted motherfucker.
Maybe he didn't hook it up, but she made it so that she can electrocute other people.
No, she gets electrocuted.
Okay.
Wait, she actually gets electrocuted?
She gets electrocuted.
Jesus.
As do the children, but the baby is the one that I'm going to hone in on.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, look, that about does it for the Simpsons Index for today. But, you know, before we get out of here, we like to briefly talk about things that we've been into lately. Books, TV, movies, music, video games, serviettes. What are some things that you're into?
Oh, good. I've been waiting to talk about serviettes.
Well, we'll start with you then, Jordan.
Yeah. So we got these serviettes that say Mikasa Sukasa.
Oh, that's charming.
But it doesn't say Mikasa S Sukasa. So it's just literally saying
My home.
my
your
house, your house. Like, this is the divide. Don't touch anything.
They're serviettes for two different places.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, no, for real. Since I've last done Index, I've played two of my fellow Indexers' favorite games of the year, month, forever. Danny has a lot of best games ever, so I mean, it's hard to tell with that guy. But I know Beej has talked about it for like several months in a row. So I played Katana Zero, which I found enjoyable. It was fun. It was cool. It was challenging for most part. I've played it now, and I'm like, cool, I can put that aside now. And then I played Hollow Knight. Well, I'm still playing Hollow Knight. I'm almost done. I'm like, oh, maybe I'll just get all the charms. Maybe I'll get all the charm notches. Maybe I'll collect those too. Anyway, so, and I like them both. They're not my favorite games of all time, and that's okay.
Yes.
Okay, good. But they're fun. And then on a TV front, I'm just started watching for the first time the first like Evangelion series.
Oh, nice.
Oh, yes.
Which is amazing. Actually, really good. Like, you think of a lot of like very cutesy anime and stuff that is very blah, and like it's just pandering. I mean, some of the symbology is very overt. Like, the enemies are literally called angels, and when they, like, you know, the blasts go into the shape of crosses and stuff, you know. But the emotion and, like, the use of silence and just, like, certain shots are just really great, and I'm loving it so far. So I'm about a quarter of the way through at the moment. It's only 24 episodes if you want to check it out.
Sorry, I'm a very big fan. I was thrilled when it came to Netflix. I haven't got to it yet. But,
well, no, don't watch the Netflix adaptation.
Really? Why?
Yeah, because they've redone all this translation, and the translator has changed a bunch of subtext from the original.
Right.
So,
well, I do still have the original DVDs.
yeah, so I got completely legally a Blu-ray copy, which has the original translation, because what they've done is, look, in the original, there's another kid, Kaoru, who's another boy, and he has kind of like, he tells him that he loves the main character, which is very plain, and it's not meant to be like subtextual at all. It's like, I do love you, whether it's romantic love or whether it's like fraternal love, but it does definitely say love. The new one, they've kind of changed that to say like, I like you a lot. And then they've kind of pushed this other romance with another female character instead, which doesn't really exist. And they've done a bunch of other stuff. So
I'm angry now.
And also, they couldn't get the licensing for the version of Fly Me to the Moon that plays over the last credits. So Fuck that. Yeah, just watch the original.
And if you're going to watch it, remember that End of Evangelion is very weird with a reason. So
Yeah.
research that
But
first.
they did release a movie that kind of tied up a little bit of loose ends
But
for you.
yeah, we have to remember the movie came afterwards. Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm going to do this mostly as a warning because the original creator got a bunch of death threats when the series didn't end the way the fans wanted it to, and so they were like, "Okay, we'll do a movie. You want an ending? Here's your fucking ending."
Yeah.
So it's a mix between this is kind of what we wanted to do originally, and also fuck you. So it's brutal.
And how about you, BT? What have you been into?
I just started reading the other day Norse Gods by Neil Gaiman, who's basically just, Norse Gods are a very interesting kind of subject matter, but anytime you read it, it's usually like a Wikipedia article, and it's very kind of sterile, and just, this is what the original thing was, and here's some interpretations of that symbology, whereas he's just basically taking over the role of like the fireside storyteller, just retelling these stories, which is also where I found out about, I'm going to pronounce this wrong, Ratatoska, which is the squirrel that lives on the tree of the world that runs up and down delivering messages and is a mischievous character. So this is where I learned that Norse is both a mix of metal as fuck and adorable as hell.
Yeah. Can you imagine a squirrel that is big enough to run up and down the world tree, though?
It doesn't say it's a big squirrel. It just says it's a squirrel.
In the pictures I've seen, it's always like equivalent to the tree.
Well, here's a picture of it wearing a little Viking hat.
Oh.
And how about you, Eddie? What have you been into?
There's a show which is on Netflix at the moment, which is Happy with an exclamation mark.
Oh, yep.
And that show is phenomenal. I think it got severely underrated, but
Who doesn't like Patton Oswalt and what's his name? Handsome Face.
Christopher Maloney.
Maloney.
Yeah,
Christopher Maloney. God, he's
oh
attractive.
my God, fantastic show. The second season, not as good as the first one, but still both of them are just such good watches and just outrageous. Like, you just don't see things coming.
Yeah, I've been curious to check out the second season because I was mixed to positive on the first. The one thing that stuck out to me is I just really didn't like the animation on Happy himself. I thought,
yeah, it is a bit jarring.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to do when you know it's an imaginary character and it should look fake, but also put it in the real world.
Yeah.
They could have actually done a 2D character.
Yeah, I think that would have worked.
Yeah,
totally.
And then I've been playing Mordhau, which is fantastic, and it's been in the news a lot lately because does anyone know Mordhau?
Nope.
No.
So I think it's 32v32, so 64 medieval combat. So you build.
Oh no, I have seen bits of it. Yeah, sorry, I didn't know the name of it, but I have seen footage of it. Yeah.
So you build your character, you put on whatever armor you want. It's very spec based, so like you only have 16 points to spend, and maybe a spear costs 10. So if you're getting a spear, then you have very little points left for armor, so it's a lot of strategy around it. But it's been in the news a lot lately because of it's got a super toxic community.
Yeah.
And there was a rumor that came out recently they were going to introduce more customization, letting people play as female characters, letting them be different races and things like that. But at the same time, they'd also introduce a toggle which would allow people to turn that off, so every character is only white if they want it to be that way.
Oh, dear.
And it turned out
boy.
that wasn't true, and they've since come out about it. But yeah, it's a very toxic community, but great game.
Yeah.
Well,
actually,
isn't that always the way?
Actually, being able to segue from that, the thing I'm going to recommend is pointandclickbait.com. Friend of the show, James from Pods in the Key of Springfield.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. He's writing for this website that I've just been absolutely adoring lately. I've joined their Patreon as well. So yeah, it's basically a gaming parody website. What was one of the articles? I'm going to have to bring it up. Sorry.
Satirical, I'm guessing, from the sound.
Very satirical.
Okay.
The other thing I'd recommend in the meantime is Juice Media on Facebook do honest government ads, and they are fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of those.
I think I've seen them being shared around, but I
Yeah.
never knew who it was from. It was Juice Media?
Juice Media.
Yeah, so some of the articles you can find on Point and Clickbait. New fears that violent shooting simulators may encourage children to gamble.
That's legit, though.
It's topical, yeah.
Yeah. It's not
Loot
satire.
boxes.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Pokemon Sword and Shield won't let you import all of the deep-seated hang-ups you had from your childhood. And James's article recently, which I fucking loved. Nintendo denies the existence of Wet Bowser. So yeah, for gamers especially, like it takes a very satirical look, and especially poking lots of fun at the various toxic communities and beliefs and stuff in gaming. So yeah, pointandclickbait.com. Good fun. All right, guys. Well, yeah, that about does it for this week. Eddie, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And Jordan, as always.
Sorry. I heard that you almost shouldn't say you're welcome when someone says thank you, because that's like, I did you a favor, so you're welcome. But if you say, like, no problems, like, of course I would do that for you.
Like Maui and Moana.
Yeah.
It's like a real condescending song.
Yeah. So, no problem, bud.
What if I say thank you back? Is that fun?
I think so. I was looking if you got something to thank them for.
Well, I was here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
We had fun.
I don't. I come by because I'm obligated. No, I'm not. I love it here. That's why I woke up at 5 to get here.
Thank you, buddy.
Yep. And Beach, thank you as always for being chained up in this room.
Oh, you're welcome.
And I've been your host, Elliot Jay O'Neill. That's all the mustard in the house!
You're welcome at home, too. Thank you for listening to the Simpsons Index podcast, which is also an online spreadsheet available at thesimpsonsindex.com. You can chat to us online at facebook.com/thesimpsonsindex or at Simpsons Index on Twitter and Instagram. And now please stay tuned for the bonus scenes!
Anyway, it's time to... There, that was a bad time. Time.
Bad
it's
time was
time.
Habail.
Me. And, all right, everyone's hearing good out of both ears. And...
Two men hears good, you'd hear well.
Got me again. When we started doing this podcast was around season 27 of The Simpsons.
And we were like, 27 will be the last one for sure.
Yep. I think they're renewed up till 72 now.
Nice.
I can't believe that's actually a thing now. Like,
Oh, yeah.
ASMR has gotten to the point that it's that popular.
Did you see, it's ruined when it's commercial because Reese's Pieces did a commercial the other day where they were like opening the packets and chewing.
No.
It's awful. It's so awful.
Wait,
I don't know if I want chewing in my ear.
I like the idea of the packet. That's like, a signature thing. You can be like, this is the sound of a delicious time.
Yeah.
The chewing is then creepy as fuck. No one
Yeah,
wants to
or
hear
like
that.
with the recipe, like the undoing of the foil. I think that would be really good, but not chewing in my ear.
You don't
No,
want to hear
thank you.
people. It's gross no matter what.
Then again, I guess it may still trigger the ASMR response, like the kind of, but in a gross way.
Yeah.
In a filthy way.
Filthy ASMR. I wonder if that's probably a thing. The internet works
of
very
course it
quickly.
is.
100%.
Just look up ASMR on Pornhub. Oh, 100,000 results? Cool. All right.
Was there ever any question?
Yeah. Porn does it first. Porn's an innovator.
True.
Yeah.
That's right. They're leading the VR revolution now.
Yeah. Why do you think we have like home video?
Oh, yeah. That's why we have VHS, right? Instead of beta.
Yeah,
because the porn industry said, we're going to use VHS.
And that is what.
Yeah.
And then everyone was like, honey, I think we should buy VHS instead of beta. Don't ask why.
Wow. Thank you, porn.
Ooh, this is ASMR.
I'm just going to enjoy this.
Sometimes you can hear the bubbles if you turn the gain up for a lot.
Ooh, I like that.
Ooh.
It's either cola or acid.
Also, just one more quick one.
Ooh.
That's been the ASMR index.
All right, we are here. BT, do you have any... Oh, are there any other musical moments of this episode?
Not that we haven't talked about it, I don't think.
Embraceable Aqualung.
Sounds gross.